Chapter 294. Dr. Chang. Medicine Man Wang is your medicine man. You will be the one to restrain him. When Daguosh's words shocked all the doctors and medicine Rong present. Although they knew that this time Medicine Man Wang would definitely be expelled from the Medicine Emperor Pavilion, they did not expect that what awaited him would be even harsher than expulsion. When Daguoshu? Behind When Daguoshu, the expressionless Qi Fangfei looked at the crowd. Medicine Man Wang was so frightened that his body trembled. He kept shouting, "Daguoshu, Medicine Man Qi, spare my life. I will not dare to do it again. I beg you, let me live. I still have my mother and brothers to take care of at home." Medicine Man Wang's master, Dr. Chang, also had a look of pity on his face. He still wanted to plead for mercy for Medicine Man Wang. "Do you want me to do it myself?" Dr. Chang. Restrain Medicine Man Wang. When Daguosh's face was stern. "Let me do it." Dr. Chang gritted his teeth. He walked forward and looked at Medicine Man Wang, who had a pleading look on his face. Medicine Man Wang was personally groomed by him. From a herb gatherer to a medicine man, it took him 7 to 8 years. But he did not expect that he would commit such a grave mistake. Dr. Chang trembled as he pressed down on Medicine Man Wang's hands. Another medicine man at the side also stepped forward and restrained his legs. A few of the more timid herbal gatherers closed their eyes in fear. Yao Rong frowned and wanted to say something. But after looking at Wen Daguosh's expression, she turned her head away. Even Cheng Sihai's face showed that he could not bear it. Under everyone's gaze, Qi Fangfei walked out. "Medicine Man Wang, your actions are already a grave mistake. I represent the Medicine Emperor Pavilion to administer the Ghost Valley 5 needles. Do you have any complaints?" At this moment, Qi Fangfei no longer had her usual amiable look. Her eyes were filled with killing intent. When the Ghost Valley 5 needles was administered, everyone's face changed. Medicine Man Wang shook his head. Although Qi Fangfei appeared to be a medicine man under Wendagua, she had another identity. She was the medicine supervisory envoy of the Medicine Sovereign Pavilion stationed in the capital cities of the various empires. She had absolute authority over the life and death of all the physicians in the Medicine Sovereign Pavilion. Therefore, even someone as unbridled as Cheng Sihai had never dared to behave atrociously in front of Qi Fangfei. Qi Fangfei nodded approvingly. Suddenly, a few wisps of light appeared in her hand, pointing towards King Medicine Man's head, hands and ankles. As the light flashed, Medicine Man Wang let out a heart-wrenching cry of pain. His arms and legs began to twitch. "Little Xiantong can't stay." Qi Fangfei's tone was not like a 20-year-old woman at all. Her eyes were filled with dark clouds. Ever since the establishment of the Medicine Emperor Pavilion, it had never encountered a true opponent. Even when it faced the powerful Dharma Temple, due to their different specializations, there was no true victor. But this time around, the Medicine Emperor Pavilion had truly lost the battle. After a few needle shadows, Medicine Man Wang's pleading voice became softer and softer. In the end, he could only let out a silly laugh. With just a few needles, Medicine Man Wang turned from a normal person into a fool who was talking in his sleep and giggling. The 5 punishment ghost needles, the punishment needles of the Medicine Emperor Pavilion. It could destroy one's spiritual sense and 6 senses. Anyone who committed a serious mistake in the Medicine Emperor Pavilion would have to endure the Medicine Emperor's ghost needles. "Let's disperse. Send Medicine Man Wang home and take good care of his mother and brother." A few medicine men who were close to Medicine Man Wang carried the already mentally disabled Medicine Man Wang out. Just now, when Qi Fangfei questioned Medicine Man Wang, if he had uttered a single word of complaint, his family would have lost the protection of the Medicine Emperor Pavilion. Medicine Man Wang was willing to accept the punishment in exchange for his family not having to worry about food and clothing. The Medicine Emperor Pavilion had always been fair in its rewards and punishments. Only then did everyone heave a sigh of relief. Cheng Sihai also wiped off his cold sweat. This Qi Fangfei, compared to Wendagua's hands, made him even more fearful. In front of Qi Fangfei, he didn't even dare to say a single word. In the Medicine Emperor Pavilion, there was a saying that was unknown to the outside world. Those who saved people were also doctors. Those who killed people were also ghost doctors. Qi Fangfei's Ghost Valley 5 punishment needles were very strange. "Yao Rong, Cheng Sihai, the 2 of you stay behind." Qi Fangfei suddenly called out to the 2 of them. Yao Rong's expression changed slightly as if she knew about today's matter. Qi Fangfei and the power behind her would definitely not let this matter rest. No one could offend the prestige of the Medicine Emperor Pavilion, especially the Medicine Emperor Pavilion that was overseen by Wendagua. Cheng Sihai, You said that today's matter was caused by Fanji's female disciple? Qi Fangfei had a deep impression of Yun Sheng. If she didn't remember wrongly, she had inherited Fanji's philosophy of dual cultivation in magic and ancient medicine. This philosophy was the opposite of the Medicine Emperor Pavilion. It was also something that the power behind Qi Fangfei that controlled the Medicine Emperor Pavilion couldn't allow to exist. When Fanji left the Medicine Emperor Pavilion, the previous medicine supervisor of Qi Fangfei was also prepared to use the Ghost Valley 5 punishment needles to punish him, turning him into a cripple. But under Yao Rong's promise to be loyal to the Medicine Emperor Pavilion and win Dagua for life, Fanji managed to escape. That was also because the previous medicine supervisor thought that with just Fanji alone, he wouldn't be able to cause too big of a commotion. But who would have thought that a few years later, Yun Sheng, who also pursued magic and ancient medicine, would appear? What made Qi Fangfei and the Medicine Emperor Pavilion most apprehensive was that Yun Sheng was still very young. Being young meant that there was more room for her to grow. From the age of 6 to 8, in the short span of 2 years, she had passed the Medicine Master examination, entered the Royal Magic Academy, and concocted a holy grade pill. Her medical skills were so exquisite that they were comparable to those of the scattered doctors. This little girl called Yun Sheng had already used her practical actions to challenge the traditional ancient medical skills. Qi Fangfei couldn't remain calm. Yes, what medicine supervisor Qi said is right. I've already said that the female doctor called Yun Sheng can't be left alive. Cheng Sihai's eyes shone with excitement when he heard that. Today Yun Sheng made him lose face in public and cut off his source of income many times. Now that medicine supervisor Qi had come forward. So what if that little girl's medical skills were brilliant? Cheng Sihai was humiliated by Yun Sheng today, but instead of reflecting on his own shortcomings, he pushed all the blame to Yun Sheng. He added oil and vinegar, condemning Yun Sheng for looking down on the Medicine Emperor Pavilion and how little Xia Yantong was slowly snatching away their customers. Cheng Sihai secretly said in his heart, "This time, let's see if I can torment that little girl and Xia Yantong to death." Fanji, so what if your disciple is powerful? She's just a doctor. Could it be that she can compete with a colossus like the Medicine Emperor Pavilion? What a pity. Qi Fangfei sighed in her heart. She still remembered that when she met Yun Sheng, that 6-year-old girl showed a talent in medicine. If a genius couldn't grow up, then they couldn't be considered a real genius. The matter of little Xia Yantong can't be delayed anymore. Listen up, starting from tomorrow, all the pharmacies and shops in the Great Zhou Empire will stop supplying medicinal herbs to the little Xia Yantong. Those who dare to disobey, even chickens and dogs will not be spared. Qi Fangfei's face was stern. Chapter 295. After the celebration, Yun Sheng and the others returned to the medical center. As soon as they approached the medical center, they saw a person walking back and forth in front of the little Xia Yantong. When they got closer, they saw an ordinary-looking, thin and tall teenager. When he saw Yun Sheng and the others, the young man's eyes flashed. He looked as if he wanted to say something but stopped himself. After a while, he asked in a low voice, "Are you people from the little Xia Yantong? Are you recruiting medicine men? Coming to be a medicine man?" Lin Yao hurriedly went forward. They had no way to recruit people before. Unexpectedly, after today's free clinic, someone actually came to their door. Looking at the other party, although thin and weak, his speech was clear and he looked reliable. Yun Sheng just happened to lack a medicine man. "What is your name? Do you have the qualifications to be a medicine man?" Yun Sheng also carefully looked at the teenager. The teenager seemed a little shy. Being looked at by Yun Sheng, he slightly turned his face. "My name is GMO. I have the qualifications to be a medicine man in my hometown. Does your medical center provide food and accommodation?" GMO looked travel-worn. He only carried a flat luggage bag. It was as if he had just come from a foreign place. Yun Sheng let GMO enter the medical center and gave him some food and drinks. After GMO ate a little, he began to talk about his background. It turned out that his hometown had an insect plague. It was difficult to eat and wear. He followed his father to seek refuge with relatives in the Jade capital. Unfortunately, GMO's father encountered a magical beast on the way and was killed. GMO was lucky enough to escape and came to the Jade capital. But after searching for a while, he found that his relatives had moved away 3 years ago. When he was desperate, he happened to see the recruitment notice posted by the little Xia Yantong on the city wall. So he came to look for it. GMO's experience made Yun Sheng involuntarily think of herself 2 years ago. The life experience of the two was indeed surprisingly similar. In particular, GMO also said that in his early years, he was a herbalist in the village's temple. But more coincidentally, he was not only a medicine man, but also a magic apprentice. Since you're a magician's apprentice, why don't you just find a job at the temple? Yun Xing still had some doubts about GMO's origin. Besides, with GMO's experience, why would he come to the small Xiantong to look for a job? I don't want you to say it, but I also want to try and see if I can fuse magic and ancient medicine together. GMO's words attracted Dr. Fan's attention. Child, you said that you also want to try to walk the path of combining magic and ancient medicine? Ever since Dr. Fan met Yun Xing, he had found someone to inherit his mantle. Unfortunately, after so long there was only Yun Xing. Now that he suddenly heard that GMO also wanted to walk the path of a magic doctor, he was very happy. And? GMO nodded. Then stay. In the future you'll be Yun Xing's medicine man. Lin Yao had a good impression of this young man. Yun Xing rolled her eyes. This was her medicine man. Why didn't anyone ask for her opinion? Lin Yao went to find a place for GMO. Goofing hesitated for a while, then whispered to Yun Xing, that GMO guy doesn't seem right. Not right? What's wrong? Yun Xing still had some doubts about GMO's origin. He has light magic on his body. Although it's very weak, it's still light magic. Goofing said firmly. With Goofing's reminder, Yun Xing also remembered. When she tested GMO's magic power, her 5 magic souls didn't feel anything special. She thought that it was because GMO was only a magician's apprentice, and the magic power in his body was too weak. It wasn't because GMO's magic power wasn't enough, but because he was also a light magician. Light magician? The temple? It seemed that the appearance of the moon god's blessing attracted the attention of the temple. Can you feel how strong or weak he is? GMO looked harmless. Except for Yun Xing and Goofing, everyone had a good impression of him. I'm not very clear. He doesn't seem strong, but it's also possible that he's hiding his strength. Goofing scratched his head. It doesn't matter. The other party is generous enough to give me a light magician as a medicine man. I should be happy. Yun Xing was very optimistic. She would deal with whatever came her way. No matter what purpose GMO had in sneaking into the little Xiantong, she would make the best use of him. She would fully squeeze out his value. At night, GMO meditated and recalled Yun Xing's words. He didn't seem to find anything strange about him. Well, since he had sneaked into the little Xiantong, the future was long, so he could slowly observe him. With the first day of free clinic, the next 2 days of free clinic, the reputation of the little Xiantong immediately opened. With the addition of a new pharmacist and Gu Feng's occasional help, the medicine in the medical hall was selling very well. But after a few days of good days, when Lin Yao was checking the inventory of medicinal herbs, she felt that something was wrong. There are some problems with the supply of medicinal herbs in the little Xiantong. Several local pharmacies are willing to supply us with medicinal herbs. I suspect that someone is playing tricks behind the scenes. The treatment and other matters in the medical hall were all handed over to Dr. Fan, but Lin Yao was mainly responsible for buying and selling medicinal herbs. After the little Xiantong made a name for itself in the last free clinic, it gradually gained a small reputation in the country. Yun Xing and Dr. Fan's alchemy skills were really good. The two people's medicinal pills were selling very well in the market. The income of medicinal pills in the first month was as high as more than 5,000 silver coins, which was better than the income of the little rejuvenation hall in the past year. But the good income of medicinal herbs also brought about a problem, and that was the supply of medicinal herbs, especially the stable supply of medicinal herbs. For the majority of medicinal farmers in the boundless world, buying medicinal herbs from the Medicine Emperor Pavilion was a kind of glory. The pharmacies were also happy to cooperate with the Medicine Emperor Pavilion. Because of this, the Medicine Emperor Pavilion quickly monopolized the supply of medicinal herbs in Zhou State. 1.5 months after Yun Xing's little Xiantong opened for business, the medicinal herbs in the medical hall's inventory were all used up. When Lin Yao was in Daoi Mountain, she didn't expect today's situation. When she first came to Jade Capital, she was unfamiliar with the place and people. She went to several local pharmacies in a row, but she was rejected by them with the excuse that they didn't have enough medicinal herbs. The first time might be a coincidence, but after a few times Lin Yao felt that something was wrong. Haha, I already expected that the Medicine Emperor Pavilion, this local snake, wouldn't let us expand. Yun Xing wasn't surprised. Cheng Sihai's free clinic was ruined by her, so Yun Xing already expected that the Medicine Emperor Pavilion wouldn't take it lying down. But she didn't expect that the other party would be so despicable to make a move on medicinal herbs. Master, we can't go on like this. We're almost out of medicinal herbs to refine pills. Lin Yao helplessly said. Chapter 296. Inside the Medicine Emperor Pavilion, Yao Rong was currently sifting through the medicinal herbs. Imperial Physician Yao, it has already been half a month. I have already inquired about it. In Little Xiantong, there are no longer any medicinal herbs for sale. Cheng Sihai had a complacent expression. Doing this is also disgracing the reputation of our Medicine Emperor Pavilion. However, that Yunsheng is too arrogant. We have to make things difficult for her. Regarding Yunsheng's sudden rise, Yao Rong sighed with emotion. At the same time, she also felt that she was too arrogant. After the matter of Wushuan Limitless School, she had asked Fan Ji to recommend Yunsheng several times. Who would have thought that the little girl would actually reject her? Such an action had undoubtedly angered the Medicine Emperor Pavilion, especially Qi Fangfei. Without the supply of high-quality medicinal herbs, even if Little Xiantong had high alchemy skills, it would be useless. Qi Fangfei's move was indeed ruthless. Inside Little Xiantong, gloomy clouds shrouded. Gufeng came up with an idea. Yunsheng, I have an idea. Since we can't sell the medicinal herbs for a while, why don't we sell the medicinal herbs? The source of the ingredients for the medicinal herbs is relatively wide. It is not limited to medicine shops and medicine farmers. When Yunsheng heard this, she felt that this idea was not bad. The Medicine Emperor Pavilion wanted to ban Little Xiantong. They had sealed off Little Xiantong's channels to purchase medicinal herbs. However, the medicinal herbs were different. They could be purchased from the hands of hunters or even some magical beast shops. Moreover, she was a consecrated elder of the Hunter Union. She could use this identity to issue a hunting mission in the Hunter Union to purchase the ingredients for refining the medicinal herbs. During this period of time when she was not around, she could let Gufeng, GMO, and Lin Yao refine some basic medicinal herbs. When she returned, she would think of a way to solve the problem of medicinal herbs. In the current situation where they were unable to solve the source of medicinal herbs, it was not a bad idea to temporarily sell the medicinal herbs. Thus, Yunsheng immediately went to the Hunter Union in Jade Capital. When she arrived at the Hunter Union branch in Jade Capital, she stated her identity and showed the consecrated elder's token. The person in charge of the Hunter Union branch personally came out to receive her. So it's Lord Yen Yun, the disciple of Elder Consecrated. May I ask if you're here for a mission or? Every head of the hunting branch would try their best to curry favor with the apprentice of an expert like Emperor Zhao. I am here to issue a mission. I want to issue an open mission for potion materials. As long as anyone can collect enough materials, they can immediately send them to the Little Xiantong in the Jade Capital. There will be people there who will pay them. Yunsheng listed the potion materials she needed to collect. She had chosen some of the most basic low-grade potion materials, which could even be completed by a Grade E or Grade D hunter. After leaving the hunter branch, she returned to the base of the Heaven Extermination Hunting Corps and gave the same mission to the hunters in the Hunter Corps. Other than the elite hunters that Yun Songlong had brought with him, the rest of the people were all sent out by Yunsheng to collect the ingredients for the magic potion. GMO was secretly observing everything in the Little Xiantong. Yunsheng, this person was indeed not simple. It seemed that not only did she have a good relationship with the Wushuan Limitless School, she also had a close relationship with the local Hunters Guild. Yunsheng also ordered Zhong Wei to go to the South Wall City to inquire about the situation of the Purple Gold Mine. A month later, Yun Songlong brought the hunters back with a new look. Reporting to young master, we are back. In this trial, all 50 of us have successfully advanced to Grade E Hunter, 30 of us have successfully advanced to Grade D Hunter, and 10 of us have advanced to Grade C Hunter. Zhou Quan himself had already become a Grade C Hunter. What surprised Yunsheng the most was that when she knew that the Hunter Corps was going to Mount Daoi, Oriole had also taken the initiative to volunteer. This time, her progress was astonishing. She had also successfully passed the Grade C Hunter's assessment and became a Grade C Hunter. Very good, you have successfully advanced to Grade D Hunter and above. Go and pack your luggage immediately. We will be going to the southern border of Zhou State in a few days. Yunsheng looked at the hunters with high morale in front of her with satisfaction. Zhou Quan and the others swarmed in front of Yunsheng. Young master, let me tell you, Captain is amazing. In just a month's time, he directly swept through Mount Daoi and became the only Grade B hunter. When Yunsheng suggested that Yun Songlong bring a group of Yun family's elites to Mount Daoi to participate in the hunters' competition, the hunters were still somewhat dissatisfied. In the eyes of this group of people, fighting in the arena was equivalent to the tricks of a circus. What would it be like to compete in front of a group of people? Even Yun Songlong thought the same. However, under Yun Sheng's repeated insistence, Yun Songlong still listened to his niece's suggestion. When they arrived at Mount Daoi's Hunter's Citadel, they realized that their original views were all wrong. The crazy fighting, the lively arena, and the battle techniques that were used to fight to the death, all of these were things that they didn't understand at first. This was especially true for Yun Songlong. Although his injuries had been healed by Yun Sheng, because he hadn't used his fighting spirit for a long time, his skills had inevitably regressed. However, the fighting atmosphere of the arena was undoubtedly the most suitable for him. He led the Sky Expedition hunting group and fought steadily and steadily. He started off as an E-grade hunter. In terms of the hunting group, Yun Songlong had already killed his way up to a B-grade hunter within a month. If it wasn't for his agreement with Yun Sheng that he would go to the southern border in a month's time to check on the situation of the purple gold mine, Yun Songlong would probably have created a new ranking record in Mount Daoi's Hunter's Citadel. Even so, the name of the newly risen Sky Hunting Corps had quietly spread throughout Mount Daoi. The same news had also spread to the other capital cities of Zhou State and the Hunter's Citadel's Hunters Club. From being unknown to having a little fame, the Hunter's Arena was undoubtedly a shortcut to becoming famous. Yun Sheng had also expected this, but she didn't expect the Heaven Hunting Army to be so good at handling matters. They actually managed to advance all the way. A few days after Yun Songlong's return, there were already customers who came to the Jade Capital Hunters Club to request missions from the Sky Hunting Corps. This was undoubtedly very good news. After all, the Sky Hunting Corps was changed from the military. Compared to ordinary hunting corps, they were more disciplined. This was what many customers were most satisfied with. When Yun Sheng heard this news, she couldn't help but laugh in her heart. Her second uncle and father were really born from the same mother. Although one was a magician and the other was a warrior, they were equally fierce in the arena. In a few years' time, the Sky Hunting Corps would become one of the top hunting corps in Zhou State. This change was something that Yun Songlong didn't expect when he reorganized the Yun family's army. Sheng, I heard that the Medicine Emperor Pavilion made a move while I wasn't around? The moment Yun Songlong returned to Jade Capital, he heard about the Medicine Emperor Pavilion's actions from Zhanli. Chapter 297. When Yun Sheng had refined a Saint-grade pill for him, Yun Songlong had already been secretly worried that the Medicine Emperor Pavilion wouldn't tolerate Yun Sheng. Because of Yun Songhai, Yun Songlong had always felt indebted to Yun Sheng. In his heart, even if his niece's talent was astonishing, she was still a child. Others might not know much about the origins of the Medicine Emperor Pavilion, but as the general of Swift Cavalry of Zhou State, Yun Songlong more or less knew a little about the Medicine Emperor Pavilion's methods. Unfortunately, he knew nothing about medicine, so he could only rely on his own abilities to protect his niece. Yun Songlong didn't have a daughter, so he had already treated Yun Sheng as his own daughter. Second uncle, it's fine. We've decided to lie low for a while and sell magic potions instead. Yun Sheng didn't want her second uncle to worry. Sheng, second uncle is back. No one will be able to hurt you in the future. Yun Songlong patted Yun Sheng's head. Yun Sheng felt that her second uncle's protective behavior was funny, but she also felt sweet in her heart. Felt good to have a family. Cough cough, there's one more thing. Sheng, I heard Uncle Yun say. Yun Songlong's expression was a little strange. Although he had left the general's estate because of his hatred for the Yun family army, he had always been paying attention to the matters of the Yun family residence. When he returned this time, he heard from Uncle Yun that little Miss had diagnosed her father, Yun Ba, with a hidden illness. Yun Songhai had seen Yun Sheng's medical skills before. When he heard the news, he was also shocked. He was afraid that there was really something wrong with Yun Sheng's body, so he hurriedly asked Yun Sheng about it. There is a problem, but it's not a big problem. Old General Yun's body is still very strong. But Yun Sheng frowned and thought for a moment, but still decided to tell Yun Songlong about her discovery that day. Seeing that Yun Sheng still refused to call Yun Ba grandfather, Yun Songlong felt a little helpless. However, he also understood that the misunderstanding between Yun Sheng and Yun Ba could not be resolved in a short period of time. He could only hope that time would wash away those misunderstandings and grievances. If I'm not wrong, the old general's cultivation has already begun to decline. Yun Sheng looked around carefully. After making sure that there was no one around, she told Yun Songlong this shocking discovery. When Yun Songlong heard this, his expression changed greatly. Father's cultivation has already begun to decline? The aging of a person was a natural law, and it was common sense for it to happen to anyone. However, it was unusual for this to happen to the martial saint of Zhou State, Yunba. Because the safety of Zhou State, or rather, the prosperity of the Yun residents, was painstakingly supported by Yunba's reputation as the martial saint. In the past few years, even though the martial arts dojos in various parts of Zhou State were still flourishing, people from the Wushuan Limitless School would often appear. However, the martial saint who represented the peak of martial arts had always been lacking. Since Yunba had broken through to the martial saint realm 20 years ago, only 2 people had broken through to the martial saint realm in Zhou State. One of them had been surrounded by many experts in a battle and had been killed in the end. The other belonged to the soldier hunting union and would not risk his life for Zhou State. Therefore, only Yunba alone was left to support Zhou State. In the past few years, the reason why Zhou State was able to remain one of the 5 great countries despite the country's declining strength was also because of Yunba, the martial saint. However, Yun Xing had now determined that Yunba's cultivation was declining. This news was undoubtedly unacceptable to Yun Songlong. Why is it like this, Father? Yun Songlong cried out involuntarily, his face revealing a pained expression. When there was a limit to one's strength, Yun Xing did not tell the old general this news. With his pride, if he knew this truth, he would definitely be in great pain. The last time I checked his pulse, I could see that he had suffered a serious injury several years ago. Unfortunately, if he hadn't suffered that injury, the battle qi in his body would have been enough to break through to the martial god realm. Yun Xing also found it very strange. With Yunba's strength and experience, why would he have lost that precious opportunity to break through? Martial arts practitioners were different from magicians. They relied on their physical bodies to break through. The higher the realm, the harder it was to break through. Generally, martial arts practitioners would reach the peak of their battle qi when they reached the age of 50. From Yunba's pulse, Yun Xing deduced that he should have had an extremely good battle qi breakthrough several years ago. Can you deduce how many years ago that breakthrough was? Yun Songlong stared nervously at Yun Xing. About 8 or 9 years ago. Counting. Yun Xing's words came to a sudden halt. 8 or 9 years ago, wasn't it when something happened to Yun Songlong and Yunba went to the southern border of Zhou State to rescue Yun Songlong, then met the later Qin marshal Saint Tian Kezi? As expected, it was because of me. Yun Songlong closed his eyes in surprise. He remembered that the day before he led the army to battle, his father Yunba had already entered seclusion. Counting the days, if he hadn't been ambushed by Yun Songlong after more than half a year of seclusion, Yunba wouldn't have been forced to exit seclusion. Second uncle, you can't be blamed for this. If you want to blame someone, you can only blame the people of Grand Emperor City, especially that despicable Shen Wuji and the later Qin marshal Saint Tian Kezi. I suspect that they colluded long ago. Yun Xing also understood that Yunba had been injured during his competition with the later Qin marshal Saint Tian Kezi. Although he hadn't revealed it to the outside world at that time and had tried his best to heal his injuries afterwards, the serious injury had affected his later breakthrough to the martial realm. It had also prevented Yunba from breaking through to the martial body realm. Tian Kezi had become famous later than Yunba. If it had been a normal competition, he obviously wouldn't have been Yunba's match. After a fierce battle with the people of Grand Emperor City, Yunba had used up more than half of his do qi. It was only after Tian Kezi had appeared that Yunba was seriously injured. Thinking about it this way, the two sides must have planned this beforehand. I think that old General Yun must have realized this himself. Yun Xing didn't believe that Yunba was completely unaware of his own body. She remembered that it had been many years since Yunba had last fought with someone of the same martial realm. Yun Xing, you don't know this, but the Yun residence is already on its last legs. Your father has left and I have also left the Yun residence. Now the entire Yun residence can only rely on him. Yun Songlong felt increasingly guilty. Second uncle, you don't have to worry. You are already a martial ancestor. As long as you break through another layer, you will also become a martial saint. Yun Xing comforted Yun Songlong. Yun Songlong smiled bitterly. Xing, do you really think that it is so easy to break through to martial saint? Moreover, I have wasted so many years. When Yunba had broken through to martial saint, he had been 35 years old. It had been his prime. If Yun Songlong hadn't had his do qi sealed in the past 8 years and had focused on cultivation, with his talent and bloodline, it wouldn't have been impossible for him to break through to martial saint before the age of 35. However, he had 8 years of blank time. These 8 years had been wasted. It meant that he had lost his best years. That's not entirely true. Second uncle, your right arm was reconstructed using the 9-leaf purple ginseng spiritual energy. The purple ginseng has undergone tribulation lightning and is a divine grade herb. Its medicinal effects were not something that could be absorbed in a short period of time. I have a set of cultivation techniques here. You can try it out. Perhaps it will be beneficial. Yun Sheng simply copied down the jade marrow technique for Yun Songlong to cultivate. Thank you. Momo, rain falls, cherry blossoms fly, empty alleys of the city of Brisk, and dream for their tips. Chapter 298. The jade marrow technique was a family technique passed down in the Yen family. It was most effective for cultivating the 8 extraordinary meridians. Although Yun Songlong was full of fighting aura, he had never cultivated a Taoist technique. Although it was only a Taoist technique, its effects were no small matter. Yun Sheng had already treated Yun Songlong as her family, so she didn't need to hide anything. Yun Songlong took a look at the technique that Yun Sheng had given him. With just a few glances he realized that this technique was extraordinary. This technique is extraordinary. Where did you get it from? Yun Songlong was surprised. Second uncle, you should have heard that I have a very powerful master. Yun Sheng couldn't explain, so she could only use her fabricated, Emperor Zhao level master as an excuse. When Yun Songlong was in Mount Daoi Citadel, he had also heard that his niece, who had assumed the name Yen Yun, had joined a B-rank hunting team called Huang Teng. Yen Yun herself had been famous in the entire Mount Daoi a year ago. This was the most shocking thing. The most shocking thing was that this newly promoted Yen Yun, who had no reputation in the hunting world of Zhou State, was not only a summoner, but also a master on the level of Emperor Zhao. During the Beast Tide, she had turned the tide and saved the entire Hunter Citadel. This made Yun Songlong's understanding of his niece rise to another level. At such a young age she was already an archmagus, could refine holy pills and was also a summoner. Fortunately, Yun Sheng's multiple identities were known by very few people. Otherwise, who knew what kind of danger her fame would bring her? His niece's talent was indeed enviable, but Yun Songlong didn't feel jealous. On the contrary, he was very pleased. This was the heir of the Yun family, who said that the Yun family had no successors. In time Yun Sheng would definitely be the most unrestrained genius in Zhou State. Yun Songlong also knew that some things were not good to ask too much, so he did not ask any more. He only took the mental cultivation method of the jade marrow technique and went to comprehend it. Not long after Yun Songlong's return, Yun Sheng and the others also set off for the southern border of Zhou State. Because the mission this time was very dangerous and involved the purple gold mine in Zhou State, Yun Sheng did not agree to let Gufeng and the others accompany them. She did not even reveal anything to Yi Baiming. During this period of time, Yun Sheng did not see Yi Baiming often. It was said that he had received instructions from Battle Strength and went out to handle some matters. Yi Baiming and the good-for-nothing Crown Prince Yi Balian were treated very differently. One of them had nothing to do all day, while the other was nowhere to be seen all day. Yun Songlong led a group of hunters while Yun Sheng led the Oriole. The group of nearly 100 people left Yujing City. After more than 10 days, just as the hunting corps was approaching the southern border of Zhou State, the hunting corps arrived in front of a mountain range. Yun Songlong called out to everyone. The place ahead is called Yama's Ridge. When I was marching in my early years I came here before. This area is very dangerous and it is very easy to be ambushed by bandits. Most of the bandits in this area also raise magical beasts to help them in battle. Therefore, after entering the ridge, everyone must be careful. We must stay in the same place as the main group and cannot easily leave the group. Yun Songlong's early years of military experience was highlighted in this mission. Along the way he would send people to check the terrain first. After confirming the safe route, he would then advance. In this aspect he was much more experienced than Feng Kuo. Everyone nodded, checked their luggage and walked forward. After walking for 15 minutes, Zhou Quan carefully checked the footprints along the way with a cautious expression. Captain, it seems to be the footprints of a caravan's horse. Yama's Ridge was a path that had to be passed by Zhou State, Tang Yuan and later Qin. It was also the path where caravans appeared the most. Along the way, when Yun Sheng and the others passed by, they encountered many freelance hunters and small groups of hunters who were escorting merchants. Second uncle, I'm a magician. I'll go ahead and take a look. Like many other hunting corps and small groups in Zhou State, the hunting corps' biggest problem was that they lacked a magician or a summoner. Yun Sheng was the only magician in the group. She also had wind element magic, so she naturally took on the role of scouting along the way. After Yun Sheng obtained the Demon Soul Stone, she became more proficient in using wind element magic. With a wave of her magic scepter, a tornado-like breeze formed under her feet. As if she was riding the wind, Yun Sheng's figure immediately shuttled through the trees of different heights. Wow, Captain, this young master's skills are really good. This is comparable to a martial artist's battle chi wings. Zhou Quan and the others clicked their tongues in amazement. Zhou Quan and the others had always thought that Yun Sheng was only proficient in fire element magic. They didn't expect her wind element magic to be so powerful as well. In terms of magnificence, magic was naturally much more beautiful than battle techniques. However, this didn't mean that martial artists didn't have the ability to fly. After reaching the cultivation of a martial marquis, martial artists could also use battle chi to form battle chi wings. For example, Yun Songlong could also use battle chi to fly in the air. However, he admitted that he couldn't fly like Yun Sheng. In just a few breaths, Yun Sheng had already disappeared into the forest. The hunting corps members were also waiting for Yun Sheng's news. Yun Sheng's ears were filled with the sound of the wind. In just a short while, she had traveled dozens of miles and entered the central region of King of Hell's Ridge. Yun Sheng tapped the ground with her toes. If Shen Feng were to see her current movement technique, he would definitely be astonished. It was just a wind magic spell, but it made Yun Sheng look like a wind fairy with wings. Her footwork was graceful as she glided through the dense branches one after another. The branches under her feet didn't even tremble. Yun Sheng leaped a few times and heard movement in front of her. Only then did she land and hide under a large patch of leaves. Under the dense shade of the trees, she really saw two men dressed as hunters. The two men each had a strange-looking magical beast by their side. The appearance of the magic beast reminded Yun Sheng of the pangolins in the zoo. They were gray in color and covered with a thick layer of armor. They weren't tall, but their bodies were long and narrow. They had a long tail. Other than their abdomens, the rest of the magic beast's body was covered with thick scales. Their limbs were thick and short. Even with Yun Sheng's eyesight, she actually couldn't tell what kind of magic beast it was. The two hunters moved very quickly and the magic beast followed behind them. Compared to Yun Sheng, who had superb movement techniques, they were still slightly inferior. The two of them also didn't notice that there was someone hiding in a tree not far away. A middle-aged man stood in the forest. When the two hunters saw the middle-aged man, they bowed. The middle-aged man turned around and saw that his clothes were exquisite. He even had a jade thumb ring on his finger. One look and one could tell that he was from a wealthy family. Why would such a person appear in a place like King of Hell's Ridge? Yun Sheng was a little curious. She wasn't in a hurry to leave and hid in the tree to eavesdrop. Why is it only the two of you? When the middle-aged man saw the two hunters and the magic beast behind them, he was a little displeased. Chapter 299. Don't worry, my lord. We still have more than 50 brothers lying in ambush outside the forest. More than 10 brothers have already infiltrated the caravan. The two hunters respectfully said. Caravan? So it was a robbery. When Yun Sheng saw that the hunters and the middle-aged man's target was a passing caravan, she lost interest. Looking at the appearance of the two hunters, they should be a medium-sized hunting group in Zhou State. It was not uncommon for such a hunting group to be hired to rob caravans. Yun Sheng had important matters to attend to, so she did not intend to meddle in other people's business. Just as Yun Sheng was about to leave, the middle-aged man suddenly said, Well done. As long as you take advantage of the chaos to steal some of the accounts and treasures, when Zhou Qingchuan returns to his family, he will no longer have a chance to make a comeback. Hearing Zhou Qingchuan's name, Yun Sheng paused for a moment. Could it be that the caravan that the hunters disguised as bandits wanted to rob was the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce's caravan? Although Zhou Qingchuan and Yun Sheng had only met once, it could be said that he had helped her greatly. Moreover, this person's thoughts were meticulous and would definitely become a top figure in the future. If the Heaven Expedition hunting group wanted to grow stronger in the future, it would undoubtedly be very helpful if they could establish a good relationship with the continent's largest chamber of commerce. Don't worry, my lord. After taking your money, our Phantom Beast group will definitely handle this matter properly. We have already made our preparations and will begin our sneak attack tonight. When the time comes, we will have to trouble my lord to delay the caravan. The hunters and the middle-aged man discussed for a while before dispersing. Yun Sheng pondered for a moment before immediately hiding in the bushes. Yun Songlong saw that Yun Sheng had been gone for a while. When she returned, her expression was grave. He could not help but ask curiously, What's wrong? Is there a problem ahead? Second uncle, there's something I need to discuss with you. Yun Sheng told Yun Songlong about the hunter and the middle-aged man she had just discovered. Sheng, you want to help Zhou Qingchuan? In the past few years Yun Songlong rarely walked around the continent, but this did not mean that he did not know about the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce. Although the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce wasn't as big as the Hunter Union, the Medicine Emperor Pavilion, the Temple of Dharma, or the Zhao State, its influence wasn't to be underestimated. It was rumored that the ancestors of the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce came from the Eastern Imperial Dynasty that had already fallen apart. After the decline of the Eastern Imperial Dynasty, the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce did not decline along with it. Instead, it used its identity as an imperial merchant to establish a close relationship with the 5 major countries. The Everlasting Chamber of Commerce's products also covered a variety of fields, from magic equipment to daily necessities to weapons. Zhou Yuhuang, the founder of the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce, once said that there were only things that the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce couldn't supply. The Zhou Qingchuan you're talking about should be one of the direct descendants of the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce. As for that middle-aged man, if I'm not wrong, his position in the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce is not low. The robbery this time must be related to the internal strife of the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce. If we rashly intervene, I'm afraid it will cause unnecessary trouble. Yun Songlong was worthy of being called a talented general. Even if there were a few years of blank time, his considerations were very thorough. Second uncle, what do you think of the Zhou State's emperor treating our Yun residents? Yun Sheng suddenly asked. Sheng, what do you mean? Yun Songlong couldn't help but be startled by Yun Sheng's words. Yun Sheng's words implied that she wanted to betray the Zhou State. The entire Yun residents had been loyal to the Zhou State for hundreds of years. As a male descendant of the Yun family, Yun Songlong had been loyal to the Zhou State since he was young. Even though he had left the Zhou State's army, there was never a day when he would become an enemy of the Zhou State. Second uncle, if the incident in Grand Emperor City is really related to the Zhou State's emperor, your hand and old General Yun's injuries won't be simple. Sheng is only doing this to leave a way out. As the saying goes, a crafty rabbit has 3 burrows. We should also make some plans, Yun Sheng said frankly. With the current situation in the Zhou State, it seemed like a storm was brewing. Yun Sheng could already faintly smell the scent of danger. Then we'll do as you say. Yun Songlong was so frightened by Yun Sheng's words that he broke out in a cold sweat. But after thinking about it, he felt that Yun Sheng's concerns were not completely unreasonable. Since he had decided to help Zhou Qingchuan, Yun Songlong called for Zhou Quan. Yun Sheng also described the strange demonic beast she had just seen, as well as the attire of the hunters who each had a demonic beast by their side. What Yun Sheng was currently worried about was that they didn't know the depth of the other party's hunting corps and their strength. There were countless hunting corps and small teams in the Zhou State. If they didn't find out the other party's background, it was very likely that she wouldn't be able to help Zhou Qingchuan. She might even lose members of the Sky Expedition Hunting Corps. After all, their main mission in the southern border of the Zhou State this time was the Purple Gold Mine. Who knew that when the hunters, including Zhou Quan, heard this, they immediately reacted. Young master, I have some impression of the hunting corps you mentioned. It should be the Phantom Beast Corps. Zhou Quan was the smartest and most adaptable person in the Sky Expedition Hunting Corps. He had a good relationship with the Hunters Guild in Yujing City, so he was the most familiar with the famous hunting corps in the Zhou State. Especially when Yun Sheng mentioned that the other party's hunters each had a magical beast, he immediately thought of it. Phantom Beast Corps? That's a B-rank hunting corps in the Zhou State? Yun Songlong couldn't help but be shocked when he heard this. The Phantom Beast Corps was a medium-sized hunting corps made up of 50 hunters. The number of hunters in their corps was also the smallest among all the B-grade hunting corps. However, the reputation of this hunting corps wasn't small in the Zhou State. The reason was that there was a special demonic beast in the corps, the Phantom Beast. The Phantom Beast was a very special demonic beast. Its magic attribute was a rare attribute, the spacetime attribute. It was said that this attribute could silently hide its presence and get close to the enemy. Moreover, this Phantom Beast's defense was very shocking. Normal weapons and magic wouldn't be able to affect it. As long as the enemy made the slightest movement, the Phantom Beast would run away. And there were a total of 10 of these Phantom Beasts in the corps. The Phantom Beast Corps' reputation in the Zhou State's hunting world isn't good. Because they have these special demonic beasts, they have always been involved in assassinations, robberies, and other shady businesses with high returns. Zhou Quan also didn't expect that their hunting corps would encounter such a difficult character like the Phantom Beast Corps this time. Zhou Quan, you just said that there are 10 demonic beasts in the Phantom Beast Corps? Could it be that there are 10 summoners in their corps? This was the first time Yun Xing heard that a hunting corps could control so many demonic beasts in the Zhou state. After all, the Zhou state wasn't a summoning nation. Normal demonic beasts could only be used as battle pets and mounts. It was very difficult to control them like summoning beasts. This is also something that the outside world doesn't understand. There is only one summoner in the Phantom Beast Corps. But they can indeed control 10 Phantom Beasts. If only Master Zhong Ren was here. Zhou Quan was a little nervous. Chapter 300. Although everyone knew that Yun Xing was a summoner, they had never seen Yun Xing summon a beast before. So they all assumed that Yun Xing was only skilled in medicine. A month ago, Yun Xing had sent her subordinates to the southern part of Zhou state to investigate the situation there. Don't worry, we'll set up an ambush on both sides. We must catch the Phantom Beast army unprepared, Yun Xing comforted everyone. Since she knew the background of the Hunter Corps that was going to ambush them tonight, it was much easier for Yun Xing to set up a trap. The Everlasting Chamber of Commerce was the continent's largest chamber of commerce. Even the infamous Phantom Beast army did not dare to directly rob the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce's people and goods. If she didn't guess wrong, the middle-aged man and the Phantom Beast army's goal was not the Chamber of Commerce's goods, but some of the account books. Those account books were definitely related to an important person in the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce. They were also very important to Zhou Qingchuan. The people of the Phantom Beast army would definitely take advantage of the chaos to snatch the account books. For Yun Xing, she was not afraid of the Phantom Beast army. On the contrary, she was looking forward to meeting the Phantom Beast army. Zhou Bing had said that the Phantom Beast army had a special method of controlling beasts. If she could confirm the other party's special method of controlling beasts in this ambush and learn it, then she could use it on the Heaven Hunting Corps. It would definitely be a great boost to the Heaven Hunting Corps. Under Yun Songlong and Zhou Quan's arrangements, the Heaven Hunting Corps hid in the mountains and quietly waited for the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce's caravan to arrive. Around sunset, the sunlight on King of Hell's mountain range gradually dissipated. The dense forest turned into ghostly shadows as if there were countless ghosts. The sound of horse hooves could be heard as a large caravan appeared on the winding mountain ridge. The members of the Heaven Expedition Hunting Corps hidden in the trees were able to see the situation of the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce's caravan from their high vantage point. This caravan was not small. There were dozens of carriages, horses, and other supplies. The Everlasting Chamber of Commerce was a large chamber of commerce, so when they went out, they would definitely invite a group of hunters to protect them. There were some well-equipped mercenaries scattered around the caravan. It was obvious that these mercenaries had undergone professional training. There were men and women, and there were even a few mages. They were careful along the way, checking for traps or ambushes. Yun Songlong was already prepared for this. Before they set up the ambush, they had already cleaned up their tracks. The caravan became even tighter. A flag was placed on the carriage at the front of the group. On the flag, there was a circular emblem of the Chamber of Commerce that looked like a Tai Chi symbol. Below the emblem were the two words, Wuji. Here it comes. Yun Sheng's eyelids suddenly twitched and she immediately became energetic. Yun Songlong and the others did not make a sound. At this time, the twilight was already fading, and the road ahead was gradually becoming blurry. The caravan of the Chamber of Commerce stopped. It was obvious that they were discussing whether they should continue their journey through the night or stay where they were. Yun Sheng's gaze flickered and landed in front of a row of carriages. With this glance, she saw a purple figure. Zhou Qingchuan had a handsome face and purple hair. He always had a refined and courteous appearance at all times. Surprisingly, he was in the queue. Zhou Qingchuan was arguing with a middle-aged man in the caravan. Yun Sheng quietly activated her magic. A gust of wind blew through the forest, and the middle-aged man and Zhou Qingchuan's words fell intermittently into her ears. Third Uncle Yama's Ridge is a well-known dangerous place in Zhou State. I suggest that we continue our journey through the night and cross this ridge before resting. Zhou Qingchuan looked at the sky. There was still some time before it was dark. If they let a few mages use the illumination magic array, they would be able to cross Yama's Ridge in an hour or two. You also said that this place is dangerous. If we continue to travel through the night, wouldn't it be worse if we encounter an ambush? I think it's better to rest here and wait until tomorrow morning to cross the mountains. One day should be enough. The middle-aged man was dressed in luxurious clothes with an arrogant face. He looked at Zhou Qingchuan with disdain. Yun Sheng's eyes lit up. She recognized that the middle-aged man was the one who had met with the people of the Phantom Beast Corps in the forest earlier. She didn't expect this person to be Zhou Qingchuan's third uncle. Zhou Qingchuan was the eldest son of the fourth branch of the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce. His father had passed away. This time his third uncle, Zhou Long, was escorting the caravan with him. Zhou Long didn't notice that there were several pairs of eyes looking at him disdainfully tens of meters above his head. He refused Zhou Qingchuan's suggestion to rest here and insisted on continuing their journey through the night. He thought in his heart, "You're just a kid. Relying on the fact that you've managed the auction house in Luoxia City well, you dare to order me around. But third uncle, the things we're carrying this time are very valuable. The longer we stay in Yanwang Ridge, the more dangerous it is." Zhou Qingchuan looked at the large amount of supplies with a difficult expression. His gaze swept over a few carriages. Zhou Long secretly sneered in his heart, "Cunning kid, you think I don't know you got the account book? You want to expose me? You're still too inexperienced." Zhou Qingchuan also knew that his third uncle didn't see eye to eye with him. However, his position in the Chamber of Commerce was always inferior to his uncle's in the clan. He could only order his own people to continue forward. Just in case, he also ordered people to arrange several magic arrays beside the carriages that hid the account book. The purpose was to prevent accidents along the way. Zhou Long looked at Zhou Qingchuan's meticulous arrangements from the side. He secretly gave a few disguised hunters in the caravan a look and waited for the night to come. Under Zhou Long's insistence, Zhou Qingchuan finally had to compromise and set up camp in the same place. After Yun Sheng saw the secret competition between the uncle and nephew, the few of them were still expressionless and quietly waited for the appearance of the Phantom Beast Corps. Around sunset, the sunlight on King of Hell's Ridge gradually dissipated. The dense forest turned into ghostly shadows, as if there were countless ghostly shadows. In this area, in order to prevent strange magical beasts from approaching, Zhou Qingchuan and the others did not light a fire. Instead, they arranged several magic arrays. The gentle light of the magic arrays illuminated the surroundings. Everything seemed normal. After drinking some water and eating some dry food, the people of the Chamber of Commerce returned to their respective tents and began to rest. Yun Sheng secretly counted. There were about 120 people in the Wuji caravan. There were about 30 to 40 hunters who were hired. Most of the hunters were warriors and there were about 5 to 6 mages. Although Zhou Qingchuan was only a merchant, his thinking was very clear. He divided the hunters into two groups. One group would be on duty in the first half of the night, and the other group would be on duty in the second half of the night. He himself slept in a tent next to the carriage. Chapter 301. The light of the magic array dimmed. After a while, Yun Sheng heard a commotion. "They're here." Yun Sheng did not see anyone from the Phantom Beast Corps, but she noticed that a few hunters who were patrolling the perimeter sneakily approached the tent. They looked at Zhou Qingchuan's tent and gestured for her to keep quiet. Yun Sheng took a closer look and could not help but laugh involuntarily. Zhou Qingchuan was really vigilant. He actually set up a warning magic array outside his own tent. That magic array was very special. It did not have any defensive or offensive power, but it had a very special function, and that was to warn people. As long as someone came within 100 meters of the tent, the magic array would give off a warning sound. That kid is really like what Master Zhou said. He is very cautious. A few of the disguised members of the Phantom Beast Corps had a sullen look on their faces. Fortunately, Master Zhou was prepared. A few of the members of the Phantom Beast Corps had a proud look on their faces. They spoke in unison and began to chant. It was an ancient and cryptic voice that sounded like the chanting of a summoner. Then a belt appeared on their waists. That belt looked no different from a normal belt. But if one looked closely, they would find that there was a certain fluctuation of magical beasts on the belt. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to sense these fluctuations, but to a summoner like Yun Sheng, she could sense the subtle fluctuations of a summoner's mana fluctuations. The fluctuation came from a gem on the belt. Yun Sheng was shocked. Immediately after, a series of rustling sounds could be heard beside them. A summoning array appeared beside them. The phantom beast that Yun Sheng had seen in the forest earlier appeared. There were a total of 4 of those magical beasts that looked very similar to the pangolin. After listening to the hunters murmuring for a while, the magical beasts quietly sneaked into the tent with the magic array in front of them. After the phantom beast appeared, under the orders of the hunters, they immediately began to dig the ground. Soon there was a small slope on the ground. The phantom beast's digging ability was very strong. In less than half an hour, an underground tunnel was formed. This way not only could they avoid the magic array, but they could also ensure that they would not alarm Zhou Qingchuan who was in the tent. That Zhou Bing was also very thoughtful. He clearly knew that Zhou Qingchuan would definitely be cautious, so he simply found the Phantom Beast Corps' magical beasts. You stay here. If someone barges in, immediately warn us. We'll go in. The Phantom Beast Legion left behind a hunter and followed the tunnel, quietly approaching the carriage behind. Zhou Bing only knew that Zhou Qingchuan might have hidden the account book in one of the carriages, but he wasn't sure which carriage it belonged to, so he could only take the risk and search for it. That hunter was on the lookout. Suddenly he felt a hand on his neck. There was something cold and hard on his neck. Don't make a sound. Otherwise you'll be a dead man in the next second. Answer whatever I ask, said a pleasant voice. Hunter only felt his feet lighten as he was taken to the side. A few tall and sturdy hunters surrounded him. Young master, why did you take him here? We can just kill him in one go. Zhou Quan couldn't figure out Yun Sheng's intentions. Don't worry, these are just small fries. Tell me who gave you the belt on your body. Yun Sheng didn't hold back and pulled off the hunter's belt. She had already noticed that the reason why these hunters who were not summoners could control the phantom beasts was because of those strange belts. You are. That hunter still wanted to struggle, but at this time Yun Songlong grabbed his left arm. With a cracking sound, that hunter felt a sharp pain in his left arm. The bones in his hand were actually crushed. The hunter's body emitted a strong pressure of Do Qi. Powerful, this person was at least a martial marquis level expert. Ask one question, answer one question. Otherwise your skull will be crushed in the next moment. Yun Songlong had the aura of a warrior on the battlefield. That hunter didn't even dare to make a sound. Yes, our captain gave it to us. That hunter was sandwiched by a few people and did not dare to resist. It turned out that the captain of the Phantom Beasts was a scepter summoner. His strength was very average, but one of his relatives was working in the Zhao state. This special belt was said to be developed by the Zhao state. It was called the Summoning Belt. A special magic array was used on it. Under the effect of this belt, even a normal warrior or magician could control a magical beast. However, one summoning belt could only control one magical beast. Moreover, the magical beast could not communicate with the controller on the spiritual level. Its effect was worse than a summoned beast, but it was much easier to control compared to a normal war pet. How many of these summoning belts do you have? Yun Sheng looked at the summoning belt in her hand. There was a gem on the belt, just as the hunter said. However, after Yun Sheng checked it, she did not find that the gem had been tampered with. Yes, the captain has 10 with him. When we came out, we brought 5 with us. The other 5 are still with the captain. That hunter looked at the group of unknown hunters in front of him and felt a chill in his heart. Where is your captain? Yun Songlong saw that Yun Sheng was interested in the summoning belt and continued to interrogate. I don't know. When the hunter asked about the whereabouts of the phantom beasts, he suddenly changed his words and refused to say the whereabouts of the phantom beasts. You refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Yun Songlong's expression became serious and he was about to make a move. Second uncle, let me do it. Yun Sheng blocked Yun Songlong's hand and a smile appeared on her face as she looked at that hunter. That hunter made up his mind that he would never reveal the whereabouts of the phantom beasts. They were still young and old in his family. If he revealed the whereabouts of the captain, his family would definitely suffer revenge. So no matter how the people in front of him tortured him, he would never utter a word. Seeing that the group of people suddenly stopped interrogating, the female hunter suddenly smiled. The beast army people were still hesitant. They did not know what Yun Sheng's intentions were. In Yun Sheng's eyes, Shin Nong's pupils constricted. If someone were to look closely at Yun Sheng's eyes, they would realize that there was an additional golden dot in her pupils, like a bright moon. The hunter stared into Yun Sheng's eyes, and a soft female voice sounded in his ears. He felt that his consciousness was becoming more and more blurry, and a dreamlike voice kept on lingering in his ears. Seeing that the beast army member went from resisting to being obedient, the resistance in his eyes also became docile and confused. Yun Songlong and the rest who were at the side were also shocked. They also did not know what special method Yun Sheng used. Thank you, Yu Luo De Wei Beiyu and Momo for their rewards. Thank you for your continued support. Chapter 302. Tell us the whereabouts of your commander and how many of you have infiltrated the caravan. What is the name of the person who hired you? How many benefits did he give you? What did he ask you to steal? Yun Sheng guided them patiently. The Phantom Beast Corps had a total of 51 people. This time, 40 of them came, led by the commander himself. They were stationed 5 kilometers away, in a hidden cave in King of Hell's Ridge. The Phantom Beast Corps had a total of 20 people mixed in with the caravan. At this moment they were all standing guard outside the caravan. Among the people who entered, one of them was their deputy commander, and there were 4 phantom beasts among them. Yun Sheng's pupils shrank. The golden color disappeared, and her eyes returned to their original black color. The hunter had a confused look on his face and he was babbling nonsense. Wow, so powerful. Young master, what kind of martial arts are you using? Zhou Quan was stunned. This method of interrogation was really amazing. This is not martial arts but a kind of medical skill. You can't learn it. Yun Sheng smiled indifferently. Sheng, you and Zhou Quan go in and find Zhou Qingchuan. Leave this person to me. Yun Songlong glanced at the tunnel in front of him, thinking that the people from the Phantom Beast Corps were about to come out. He was already used to Yun Sheng's methods. This niece of his was hiding countless intriguing little secrets from head to toe. As her second uncle, he already felt that he shouldn't be offended by this. Yun Sheng also understood what Yun Songlong was going to do next. She and Zhou Quan had only taken a few steps when a low cry came from behind them. She did not need to look to know that the member of the Phantom Beast Corps had already been killed by Yun Songlong. As soon as the two stepped into the tent, Zhou Qingchuan immediately became alert. He had just stood up when he saw 2 figures enter the tent. Who is it? Zhou Qingchuan did not panic and immediately held the magic scepter in his hand. It's me, big brother Zhou. Yun Sheng and Zhou Quan had already entered the tent. You. When Zhou Qingchuan saw Yun Sheng, he was shocked for a moment, but then his eyes revealed a look of joy. The magic scepter in his hand shone brightly. Wherever the light shone, he saw a beautiful figure that made his heart tremble slightly. However, there was a strong man standing beside this beautiful figure. Right at this moment, the tent was lifted and Yun Songlong, who had taken care of the beast soldier, walked in. Shinger, we have to hurry. If we're late, I'm afraid that group of people will find the account book. Yun Songlong walked into the tent and sized up Zhou Qingchuan. The 2 men who would be influential figures in their respective fields in the future, looked at each other under the hazy illumination magic. With just one glance, Zhou Qingchuan was on high alert. Zhou Qingchuan couldn't help but raise his eyebrows at Yun Songlong's imposing aura. Big brother Zhou, this is my second uncle Yun Sheng. The one beside me is Zhou Quan from the Heaven Extermination Hunting Corps. Extinguish the illumination spell first. Yun Sheng was afraid that the commotion in Zhou Qingchuan's tent would alert Zhou Bing and the others outside. Yun Songlong? Zhou Qingchuan immediately thought of this person. He had been on the continent for many years. Although he was only a child when Yun Songlong was at his peak, he still had a deep impression of this fierce general in Zhou State. Yun Sheng told Zhou Qingchuan what had happened during the day. When he found out that his third uncle had colluded with the Phantom Beast Corps to steal the account book, Zhou Qingchuan didn't have any expression of surprise. His face was amiable, no different from the courteous steward that Yun Sheng had met at the auction house. This time it's all thanks to you guys. I also guessed that there would be people who would do something to the caravan along the way, but I didn't expect that person to be third uncle. Zhou Qingchuan's calmness surprised Yun Sheng. After he explained what had happened, everyone finally understood why Zhou Bing would do such a thing. There's no time to lose. Big brother Zhou, we should quickly go and capture the thief. Otherwise, if the account book is stolen, big brother Zhou's efforts will be wasted. Yun Sheng reminded. I won't hide it from you guys. The account book has already been sent back. Zhou Qingchuan smiled. Between his words, there was a look of understanding. He glanced at Yun Sheng and a gentle light flashed in his eyes. It turned out that Zhou Qingchuan had used the tactic of luring the tiger away from the mountain. Before tonight, he had already ordered people to make a copy of the account book. If he wasn't wrong, the account book should have already arrived at the headquarters of the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce. Brother Zhou is indeed a member of the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce. His thoughts are meticulous. It seems that Shinger, we have made an unnecessary move this time. Yun Songlong couldn't help but admire Zhou Qingchuan. At such a young age, he was still calm in the face of such difficulties. No, I still have one thing to trouble you guys with. Since you guys are members of the hunting corps, I would like to ask for your help in eliminating the spies in our caravan. Also, try to capture the leader of the hunting corps. Although Zhou Qingchuan had transferred the account book, he had no way to prove Zhou Bing's evil deeds. However, if Yun Sheng and the others could capture the leader of the Mirage Beast hunting group, and then take out the evidence of this person colluding with Zhou Bing, then Zhou Qingchuan was confident that he could rely on this time to directly dig out Zhou Bing's background. At that time, with the addition of the account book, the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce would definitely experience a big reshuffle. He looked at Yun Xing eagerly. Yun Xing, however, looked at her second uncle. Yun Songlong couldn't help but frown. After Zhou Qingchuan's explanation, Yun Xing roughly understood the predicament that Zhou Qingchuan was currently facing. The goods this time to Zhou Qingchuan were very important. Although he was successful at a young age and was highly regarded by his grandfather Zhou Ronghai, but in the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce, he had never held any real power. The specific reason had to be explained from Zhou Qingchuan's father. Zhou Qingchuan's father, Zhou Hai, was the second son of the current patriarch of the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce, Zhou Ronghai. Zhou Bing was capable since he was young, and took up the position of the main manager of the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce. Unfortunately, not long after he and Zhou Qingchuan's mother got married, he was tragically killed by bandits when he went out to do business. The property and power that originally belonged to Zhou Bing was forced to be transferred to the other branches of the Zhou family to take over. According to Zhou Ronghai's original plan, the property that belonged to his second son, Zhou Bing, would be returned to the second branch when Zhou Qingchuan turned 20 years old. The other sons of the Zhou family had agreed at that time, but when Zhou Qingchuan grew up, his uncles came up with all kinds of excuses. They even came up with a plan to expel Zhou Qingchuan from the core business of the family, and send him to a remote border city like the Sunset City, in an attempt to make him unable to rise again for the rest of his life. But gold will always shine. Not only was Zhou Qingchuan not discouraged in the few years he was sent out, he constantly sharpened his ability. Relying on his own talent in business, he managed to make the Sunset Auction House, which was on the verge of collapse, flourish. Chapter 303. For Zhou Qingchuan, Yun Xing was his little benefactor. Especially the last time when Yun Xing's tribute of the moon goddess was auctioned, it brought Zhou Qingchuan an extremely high reputation. Now, several important merchants in Tangyuan had established contact with him one after another. When the Zhou family found out about this news, they were afraid that Zhou Qingchuan would take this opportunity to rise up the ranks, so they hurriedly transferred him back. Not long after I returned to the family, I discovered that grandfather's health had been deteriorating over the past few years. The Everlasting Chamber of Commerce was also fragmented, and many of its main businesses were in deficit. So I ordered people to secretly investigate the accounts and rewrite the accounts. These accounts were mixed in with this batch of goods. Zhou Qingchuan truthfully told Yun Xing. He was prepared to bring these accounts back and let grandfather have a look. Who would have thought that before he could rush back to the family, he would be sent by third uncle on the pretext of transporting important goods. Yun Songlong did not expect that they would rashly participate in the internal power struggle of the continent's largest chamber of commerce, the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce. Yun Xing was not surprised by this. This kind of mutual deception between large families, she had watched a lot of dramas in her previous life. Zhou Qingchuan thought that the whole thing was confidential, but he did not expect that his uncles would still find out about this secret. He also did not expect that transporting goods was just an excuse. His third uncle's real intention was to kill him. He had only met Yun Xing twice, but he had a natural good impression of Yun Xing. This good impression had unknowingly turned into a kind of love, but Yun Xing was not aware of it. After Yun Songlong heard this, he noticed that Zhou Qingchuan was looking at his niece with a burning gaze, and found something unusual. Yun Songlong calculated in his mind. His niece was only 8 years old. Wasn't this admirer a little too early? Ahem Xing, come with me to the side. Yun Songlong called Yun Xing to the side. This is an internal matter of the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce, it's not convenient for us to intervene. They went to Zhou State and later Qin to investigate the purple gold mine. For the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce to be able to become the #1 chamber of commerce in the continent, the forces behind them were intricate and complex. It was not something a small Heaven Extermination Hunting Corps could handle. Even Yun Songlong, who did not know much about business, knew that Zhou Qingchuan's matter was not simple. Yun Songlong felt that under such circumstances, it was not appropriate for the Heaven Extermination Hunting Corps to appear. Second uncle, Zhou Qingchuan is my friend. He is in trouble, so I have to help him. Yun Xing's eyes were very determined. Yun Xing thought highly of Zhou Qingchuan. In a situation where the enemy was weaker than them, everyone from the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce, including Zhou Qingchuan himself, did not panic. The remaining members of the caravan remained respectful to Zhou Qingchuan. Could be seen that he was a very cohesive person. For such a person, as long as he was given enough opportunities, he would be able to grasp them and rise to the top. Yun Xing did not tell Yun Xing that the other reason why she helped Zhou Qingchuan was related to little Ci Entong. But right now Yun Xing did not have the opportunity to say it. You've decided? Since that's the case, then help him. Yun Songlong rubbed his temples with a headache. If they were not family, they would not enter the same door. Yun Sheng's temper was typical of the Yun clan. Behind Yun Sheng, Zhou Qingchuan was also looking at her back with apprehension. Would she help him or not? Just now, the Heaven Extermination Hunting Corps took the risk to help repel the hunting corps hired by third uncle. It could be considered a great help. Zhou Qingchuan was a business genius. From Yun Songlong's reaction just now, it was clear that he did not want to intervene in the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce's matters. Even if Yun Sheng refused to help, he would not have any complaints. Steward Zhou, my second uncle has decided to help you find the account book. Yun Sheng turned her head and smiled at Yun Songlong. Under the light of the fire, the girl's smile was like a white flower quietly blooming in the dark night. At the same time, it made people's mind flutter and even their soul feel like it was being taken away. Zhou Qingchuan's heart warmed and his blue eyes shook. You can call me Big Brother Zhou. Thank you, Head Yun, for lending a helping hand in this difficult situation. Qingchuan will never forget your kindness. This Big Brother Zhou was sincere. Yun Sheng and Zhou Qingchuan looked at each other and smiled, forming an indescribable tacit understanding between the two. Around dawn, Zhou Qingchuan, Zhou Bing, and the others came out of the tent one after another. Qingchuan, did you sleep well last night? Zhou Bing asked Zhou Qingchuan hypocritically. Last night he was on tenterhooks. Fortunately, the night passed without anything happening. I slept very well, but third uncle, why do you look so tired? Did you not sleep well in the wild? Zhou Qingchuan still had a modest and polite appearance. I did not sleep well. Once I return home I can have a good night's sleep. Zhou Bing heard and was secretly delighted. At dawn, the caravan of the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce set off and continued their journey along the endless Hades mountain ridge. Not long after the caravan set off, a few sneaky figures quietly left the caravan and rushed towards the cave where the Phantom Beast army was located. Inside the cave there were indeed more than 10 hunters waiting. One of them had high eyebrows and a wide forehead. His face had a sinister scar, as if there was a centipede growing on his face. He looked very fierce. Beside him, there was a 7th-level Phantom Beast that was half the height of a human. Head, we got it, the deputy head of the Phantom Beast army said as he took out a small package wrapped in oil paper from his bosom. Zhou Qingchuan, that brat, was very cunning. He hid the account book very well. It took them 4 to 6 hours to find the account book at daybreak. Very good, with this account book, we brothers will be able to eat and drink well. The leader of the Phantom Hunting Corps laughed. He flipped through the account book and the numbers on it made him dizzy. Head, should we give this account book to that brat Zhou Bing? In the morning that brat kept winking at our people, the deputy head asked. If not for the head repeatedly telling them to return the account book first, he would not have rushed back. No, this account book is very valuable. Zhou Bing, that stingy brat, is only willing to pay 50,000 gold coins. We will use this account book to extort him. 10 million gold coins, the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce is a fat sheep, the head laughed. That is right. Our brothers have been lying in ambush here for a few days and are exhausted. We should extort him. The deputy head's face was full of joy. They were all fugitives and did not have any trust. Wait a minute, you had a total of 5 people last night. Why is one person missing? The head glanced and found that one person was missing. The people who were sent to find the account book last night were the elites of the group. Each of them had a summoning belt, but only 4 people returned. Chapter 304. That brat Wu Ping is missing. That's not right, he hasn't come back yet? We thought he got impatient and came back first. The few people looked at each other in dismay. Haha, you guys finally noticed? You don't even know that you've lost people. The Phantom Beast Corps is only SOSO. A burst of loud laughter rang out in the cave. Immediately after, a black shadow mixed with the power of lightning crashed into the cave with a bang. Who is it? The Phantom Beast Corps' commander heard the voice and knew that something bad had happened. Among the crowd, his strength was the highest. He was a peak martial honorable. He leaped up and kicked at the black figure with his legs, causing a gust of wind to sound. The power of a martial saint was enough to shatter rocks. The black shadow was kicked and smashed into the wall. Everyone looked carefully and saw that the black shadow was the body of the missing member, Wu Ping. Commander of the Heaven Expedition Hunting Corps Yun Songlong, we have received a request from the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce's young master Zhou to capture the scum of your hunting corps. Yun Songlong led a few elites of the Heaven Expedition Hunting Corps and stood outside the cave. When they heard the name of the Heaven Expedition Hunting Corps, the Phantom Hunting Corps was a bit confused. The Zhou state had this hunting corps, but when some people thought further, they were frightened by the shocking name, Yun Songlong. When the hunters who were killing heard this, they immediately felt that something was wrong. These were all hunters of the Zhou state. They knew a lot about the Zhou state and the hunting world. The name Yun Songlong was a bit unfamiliar, but when they thought carefully they quickly connected the dots. How could a hunting corps with such a person be an ordinary hunting corps? The son of the Zhou state's Marshal Saint Yun Ba, who was also the general of the Zhou state's swift cavalry, Marshal Marquis Yun Songlong. But wasn't Yun Songlong rumored to be trash? Then who was the one who had killed 7 or 8 people with his bare hands with such an imposing manner just now? Looking at the front, Yun Songlong's Do Chi was as dazzling as a rainbow. Looking at the hunters at the side, they all had extraordinary skills. Chaos soon ensued in the cave. The Phantom Beast army was indeed a veteran army. The regiment commander roared, "Quiet!" Immediately summoned the Phantom Beasts. The group of people also came back to their senses. A few of them stood out. Just as Wu Ping had said earlier, each of them had a summoning belt. Several summoning arrays lit up and several phantom beasts appeared. Haha, Yun Songlong, I didn't think that you, the great general of Zhou state, would be reduced to a hunting soldier. Others may be afraid of your fame, but my phantom beast army is not. Brothers, let this group of people see how powerful our beast army is. The commander looked very confident. The captain was only a martial honor, yet he was able to control a B-grade hunting corps. Naturally, he had some tricks up his sleeves. The surface of the phantom beasts' bodies suddenly lit up, and a magic defensive light sphere appeared on each of them. A magic array? I didn't expect this kind of magical beast to be able to use magic other than digging. Yun Songlong was also shocked. He originally thought that with him here, capturing the phantom beast army was only a matter of time. The magic array was also very mysterious. Its function was somewhat similar to Gufeng's light sphere. Yun Songlong used a battle skill, but when the battle skill approached the magic array, it was as if it had hit an invisible wall, and was immediately repelled. Not only that, but the attacks of the others also had no effect. Under the effect of the magic array, no one was able to get close to the Phantom Beast army. Haha, no matter what method you use, as long as the Phantom Beasts are here, none of you can do anything to us. The hunters were immensely pleased with themselves. Commander, that magic array is very special. We won't be able to catch them in a short time. What do you think we should do? Zhou Quan watched from the side and couldn't help but frown. He also didn't expect to encounter such a situation. They could only watch helplessly as the hunters fled. Zhou Quan, you and the rest of the people go and kill the rest of them. Xinger will ambush us outside. We will split up. Yun Songlong couldn't help but praise Yun Sheng's thoughtfulness. She was already lying in ambush outside. Yun Songlong knew Yun Sheng's movement technique. In terms of tracking, she might be even more powerful than him. Thus, he split up with the other hunters to chase after them. The Beast Army commander took the account book and disappeared with a burrow. After he escaped a few miles away, he was secretly pleased with himself. Suddenly the sky darkened. He raised his head to look and was almost scared out of his wits. In the sky stood a girl. The girl had black hair. Rummel. You are. In the sky stood a girl. Behind her there was a pair of wings. She looked like a god, majestic and awe-inspiring. The girl's eyes were ice cold. Heaven Extermination Hunting Army Vice Commander, Yen Yun. Yen Yun. Yen Yun. When the Beast Army commander heard this name, his eyes widened. This name, in the hunting world, was even more famous than Yun Songlong. In the arena of Mount Daoi, she slaughtered the lowly hunters of the Black Tiger Hunting Army. She became famous after that battle. What was even more frightening was that she had a master on the level of Emperor Zhao. Yun Songlong and Yen Yun, how could two people like them appear in King of Hell's Ridge? Yun Songlong's name was enough to make him suffer, but Yun Sheng's name was undoubtedly more intimidating. If Yun Songlong's name belonged to the past, then Yen Yun's name was undoubtedly the hottest name in the hunting world of Zhou State. A mysterious hunter who only appeared in Mount Daoi's Hunter Citadel. It was rumored that no one had seen her real face. The first time she made a move, she killed the notorious leader of the Black Tiger Hunting Army. After that, it was rumored that she had a master on the level of Emperor Zhao. However, these were only rumors. After Yan Yun became famous, she quickly disappeared without a trace. The hunting team she belonged to, Phoenix Soaring, had never revealed Yan Yun's exact whereabouts to the outside world. The Beast Army commander had never imagined that he would actually meet this murderous god here. Furthermore, she had even joined the Heaven Extermination Hunting Army. The Beast Army commander had the urge to slit his own throat. How could he have accepted this mission? Even if he was given 2 guts, he wouldn't dare to go against the Heaven Extermination Hunting Army, which had the backing of a martial sage and an expert on the level of Emperor Zhao. Don't come over. You can't hurt me. No one can break through the Phantom Beast's defense. Although the Beast Army commander was afraid, he still relied on the fact that he had a demonic beast to protect him. Yes. If it were anyone else, they might not be able to do anything. It's a pity that you met me. Yun Sheng's cold eyes suddenly flashed with a trace of liveliness. She slowly raised her hand. Chapter 305. The head of the Phantom Beast hunting group couldn't help but look at Yun Sheng's hands. When he saw those hands, he couldn't help but tremble. What kind of hands were those? Yan Yun's true appearance was that of a beautiful young girl. Her hands should also be white and flawless. But the hand in front of him. A withered, pitch-black hand that was emitting a terrifying magic power. The summoning ring on top of the hand was flashing, and a magic space as bright as the sun was rapidly forming. That was a real magic space. Inside it was the centipede ant king that had doubled in size because of the exquisite beast pagoda. It was waving its limbs ferociously. Boom! A burst of dust flew, and a magical beast that the head of the Phantom Beast hunting group had never seen before landed in front of him. The powerful pressure of the magical beast made the head of the Phantom Beast hunting group's knees go soft, and he knelt on the ground. The centipede ant king spat out venom from its mouth. The Phantom Beast hunting group's defense that couldn't be shaken in the slightest by combat skills and magic was like a thin layer of paper, immediately eroding a big hole. What the hell is this? The head of the Phantom Beast hunting group trembled, as if he had seen a ghost. As if he had gone crazy, he attacked the centipede ant king. But in front of a commander-level beast general, all his attacks seemed so weak. Yun Xing raised her hand. On her hand, there was a terrifying magic fluctuation. The commander of the Phantom Beast Legion watched as his rank 7 Phantom Beast was devoured by the 100-legged ants' army of beast ants. In a short while, the Phantom Beast of the Phantom Beast hunting group turned into an empty shell. You. Don't come over. The head of the hunting group was so scared that his whole body was trembling. You want that account book, right? I'll give it to you immediately. He was so scared that his hands and feet almost cramped. Without hesitation, he threw away the account book that was worth millions of gold. The head of the hunting group didn't know that the account book that he thought was hard to get was already a waste of paper. Yun Xing didn't even look at the account book. Also, the letter that Zhou Bing asked you to rob the account book, where is the commission? The head of the hunting group thought for a while, and unwillingly handed over Zhou Bing's handwritten letter and the limitless gold card. I've already handed it over, you should let me go now, right? I can guarantee that I won't tell anyone about what happened today. He thought that after handing over these things the other party would let him go. But who knew that the female summoner who looked as beautiful as a fairy, but her methods were extremely vicious. I have one more thing to ask you. It's about the belt of summoning you're wearing. Who gave you this belt? Yun Xing took out the belt she got from Wu Ping. It turned out that the other party was after the summoning belt. He could not reveal the secret of the summoning belt. Otherwise, Zhao Ting would not let him off. When Yun Xing saw the sudden change in his expression, her originally timid eyes suddenly became firm. It seems that the summoning belt is no small matter. Even the head of the Phantom Beast army did not dare to say anything about it. The other party was a revered martial artist. Shen Nong's pupil was not as effective as Wu Ping's. Yun Xing did not say much. She used her divine sense and the 100-legged ant general crawled over. It opened its sharp mouth and bit off the big toe of the head of the Phantom Beast army. Ah! The head of the Phantom Beast army almost died from the pain. He looked at his toe as it was swallowed by the 100-legged ant general. I know you're not afraid of death. You don't care about the lives of your hunters. But there are many ways to die. Do you believe that I can let my beasts eat your feet one by one? Tomorrow I'll eat your hands. After 10 days, guess which part of your body will still be intact? Yun Xing said as she patted the head of the 100-legged ant general. The latter made a crunching sound. It was obvious that it had just chewed off the toe of the head of the Phantom Beast army. The head of the Phantom Beast army felt like his liver and guts were about to burst when he thought about how he was on his last breath and was going to be eaten every day. He finally understood how this female summoner, Flaming Cloud, got her nickname. The Bloody Lowly truly lived up to her name. She wasn't human. No, I'll talk. That summoning belt was given to me by my aunt. She's a summoner in the Zao state. She said that the gemstones on the belt were not ordinary ores. They were refined with beast blood. The head of the Phantom Beast army was on the verge of collapse. He told Yun Sheng about the origin of the summoning belt. Yun Sheng listened and carefully examined the magical beast belt in her hands. Just as the vice head of the Phantom Beast army had said, the gemstones were refined with beast blood. The only difference was that the gemstones on Wu Ping's magical beast belt were refined with the blood of mid-ranked beasts. The magical beast belt on the head of the Phantom Beast army was refined with the blood of high-ranked beasts. Yun Sheng was smart. After learning the secret of the gemstone refining, she roughly understood the principle of the magical beast belt in just a short while. The magical beast belt's effect was similar to that of a high-ranked beast to a low-ranked beast. It was able to control the beast. The advantage of this belt was that no matter if it was a summoner or a magician, they could use this belt to enslave low-ranked beasts. However, the disadvantage was that once a higher-ranked magical beast belt or a more skilled summoner appeared, the magical beast belt would automatically lose its effect. She did not expect the Zao state to have such a method of controlling beasts. This discovery was very helpful to Yun Sheng. She decided to search for suitable beasts on her way to the southern border of the Zao state. If there were any suitable beasts, she would obtain a portion of their blood and use it to refine the magical beast belt. If she could give every member of the Heavenly Hunting Corps a magical beast belt like this, the strength of the hunters would undoubtedly increase. Ant General, swallow him. Yun Sheng ordered coldly. The 100-legged Ant General immediately swallowed the commander of the magical beast corps. After Yun Sheng checked the letter, she immediately rushed back to meet up with Yun Songlong and the rest. Yun Songlong and the rest had already captured a few members of the Phantom Beast Corps. After finding out that Yun Sheng had already killed the commander and brought back a letter, the members of the Heavenly Hunting Corps did not reveal much shock this time. In their eyes, their young master was 1,000 times, 10,000 times more savage than General Yun. If they offended the commander, at most they would just snap their necks. If they offended young Master Yun, an image appeared in everyone's minds and they all shivered at the same time. In the Heavenly Hunting Corps, if the commander was the boss, then young Master Yun was the Empress. It served the Phantom Beast Corps right for offending their young master's friends. The group immediately rushed back to the camp. Thank you to book friend 087 putting Yen Lass, I'm only willing to die for you, and Shitsi and have you now for your tips. School is about to start and I'm going to study. Whoa, I'll miss you. Chapter 306. Zhou Qingchuan had already gotten rid of the spies in the caravan with the help of the remaining members of the Sky Hunting Corps. It's a pity that my third uncle had already gotten wind of this and escaped. However, with this letter and the members of the Sky Hunting Corps that you captured, I believe that my grandfather will deal with them when we return. Zhou Qingchuan sighed. He accepted the letter, but did not take back the gold cards that Yun Sheng and the rest had handed over from the Phantom Beast Corps. He even gave the Sky Hunting Corps a considerable commission. Zhou Qingchuan did not expect that this time things would progress so smoothly. This was all thanks to the help of Yun Sheng and the rest. After daybreak, Yun Sheng and the rest had already reorganized themselves. Zhou Qingchuan also had to hurry on with his journey. He could only reluctantly bid farewell to Yun Sheng. Big brother Zhou, I have something that I would like to ask you. Before they parted, Yun Sheng called out to Zhou Qingchuan. Zhou Qingchuan looked at Yun Sheng and a trace of reluctance flashed across his eyes. However, he quickly hid that feeling in his heart. After spending these days together, he had gained a better understanding of Yun Sheng. When he found out that Yun Sheng was only 8 years old, his shock was unimaginable. There was actually a 13-year age gap between the two of them. While feeling bitter, Zhou Qingchuan also secretly made a decision. He would wait for Yun Sheng to grow up. During these years of waiting, he would continue to strengthen his own wings. He would definitely not let this matter happen again. He, Zhou Qingchuan, might not be able to compare to this young girl in terms of magic and medicine. However, he wanted to achieve something in his own field. One day he would use his special ability in business to protect her. Only then would he be able to truly pursue her. Yun Sheng naturally could not guess what Zhou Qingchuan was thinking at this moment. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. As long as Big Brother Zhou can help, I will definitely help. Zhou Qingchuan looked at Yun Sheng with a smile. He was greedy for that charming smile on her face. It's about the medical center's business. I have encountered some difficulties. These days Yun Sheng had received a letter from Lin Yao. Although the medical center had temporarily adjusted its business scope to magic medicine, the results were not very good. After all, for most commoners, ancient medicine was more convincing than magic. If they could not solve the problem of the supply of medicinal herbs as soon as possible, the reputation that they had built up through the free medical center would quickly be used up. Yun Sheng roughly told Zhou Qingchuan about how she had offended the Medicine Emperor Pavilion and refined a Saint-grade elixir. You refined a Saint-grade Saint elixir and even slapped the Medicine Emperor Pavilion during the free medical treatment? Zhou Qingchuan's a Saints Lin Yao's of the Emperor's name. Zhou Qingchuan was in charge of the business affairs of the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce. The business scope of the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce was very wide and included the acquisition of medicinal herbs. On the continent, not to mention Saint-grade elixirs, as long as it was a high-grade elixir, it would definitely be produced by the Medicine Emperor Pavilion. In a similar situation in the field of magic medicine, it was illegal to do so. Yun Sheng had refined the high-grade elixir of the moon god first. This was still acceptable. After all, she had studied at the Royal Magic Academy. However, she had actually refined a Saint-grade elixir without going through the Medicine Emperor Pavilion's systematic training. Furthermore, she had repeatedly provoked the Medicine Emperor Pavilion. With the Medicine Emperor Pavilion's status in the ancient medicine world, it was already polite of them not to directly kill Yun Sheng. Of course, it was because they had considered the Wuxia Everlasting Chamber of Commerce. The other reason was probably because of the Marshal Saint General's estate behind Yun Sheng. If it wasn't for them making a mistake during the free medical consultation, how could they be humiliated by me? Yun Sheng pouted. Since it has already happened, let's forget about it. I think with your second uncle and the others, the Medicine Emperor Pavilion can at most trick you in terms of medicinal herbs. However, it's not difficult to solve this matter. Zhou Qingchuan was worthy of being called a rare genius of the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce. The problem that had troubled Yun Sheng and little Xiantong for a long time was solved by him. As the saying goes, it's better to teach a man to fish than to give him a fish. If you want to buy medicinal herbs from the Medicine Emperor Pavilion, why don't you just start from the medicine farmer? Or rather, find someone to help you grow the herbs. According to Zhou Qingchuan's understanding, including the Medicine Emperor Pavilion, there was a specialized medicine manor. In the medicine manor, only specific medicinal herbs were cultivated to ensure the quality. Yun Sheng immediately understood after being reminded by Zhou Qingchuan. How could she forget her old profession? Wasn't she a medicine farmer when she was in the banana leaf village? She could directly buy out some farming villages with rich soil and water and contract them to cultivate medicinal herbs all over Zhou State, or even outside Zhou State. Big Brother Zhou, you've helped me a lot. You have a wide network of friends, can you help me contact some high-quality medicinal herb seeds? Yun Sheng decided to immediately write a letter to Lin Yao. No problem. This time you've helped me a lot. Medicinal herb seeds are just a small matter. Zhou Qingchuan also used his experience to pick out some suitable small villages in Zhou State. Zhou Qingchuan promised Yun Sheng that he would pay attention to help her find suitable villages in other countries outside Zhou State. After watching Zhou Qingchuan's caravan disappear on the side of the road, Yun Sheng and the Heaven Extermination Hunting Corps continued their journey. Amidst the tranquil mountains and steep ridges, there were three figures standing on a towering tree. TSK Biming, that kid is interested in your woman. He's a strong opponent, the young master of the Everlasting Chamber of Commerce. He's young and rich, and he's also infatuated with the little divine doctor. Cheng Bai whistled. You can see the signs from so far away. Why can't I see it? Bu Jiuxiao's face was dull. Yi Biming's handsome face tensed up. He can't compare to this prince. There was no trace of embarrassment or hesitation in his words. Does Xiao Xing'er know that you're so arrogant? Cheng Bai was choked by Yi Biming's words. He originally thought that Yi Biming would agitatedly counterattack, but looking at this kid's appearance, it seemed that he was confident in Yun Sheng's victory. She doesn't need to know. She can only be this prince's woman. Yi Biming's face was cold. Since that's the case, why don't you just protect her openly? You made Zhou Xiao and me sneak around like rats. Cheng Bai really didn't know what to do with this childhood playmate of his. After he returned to the Jade capital, he heard that Yun Sheng and the Heaven Extermination Hunting Corps had already left. Without another word, he dragged the two of them to be his coolies and rushed over. There were several times when they were almost discovered by Yun Songlong. Fortunately, Yi Baiming was alert and managed to resolve the crisis. I also feel that she doesn't need anyone to protect her. Bu Jiuxiao had previously found it very strange that Yi Baiming, who had never had any reaction to any woman, would suddenly be interested in a young female sorcerer. Although the other party's medical skills were very high and her appearance wasn't bad, how could she make Yi be so devoted to her in such a short period of time? Along the way, Bu Jiuxiao discovered that Yun Sheng was very special. Just in terms of dealing with unexpected situations, her intelligence was comparable to any adult. No wonder the evildoer Yi Baiming would see her in a different light. That's true. I've never seen such a fierce woman. TSK, could it be that evildoers should be matched with evildoers? I say, if the two of you get together in the future, wouldn't the child be a little demon king? Cheng Bai shuddered. Just thinking about this scene gave him goosebumps. Chapter 307. Cheng Bai was famous for being pampered among the three of them. Normally when he went out he would eat and dress well. This time he had been dragged out by Yi Baiming to follow the heavenly hunting corps. He hadn't eaten or slept well the entire time, so he was filled with resentment. As he complained, he swatted a few mosquitoes to death, not forgetting to complain about his good friend. You keep saying that you're not worried, so why are you still following behind us? You made this young master feed bugs for several nights last night. Cheng Bai's face was filled with resentment. In 3 days we'll enter the southern border of Zhou State. There's no time to lose. We need to hurry through the night and get to the purple gold mine before them. Yi Baiming's gray eyes flickered as he glanced at Yun Sheng, who was particularly conspicuous in the crowd. Little wild cat, if you knew the purpose of this prince's trip, you would probably be half dead from anger. Yi Baiming thought of Yun Sheng's reaction and a trace of a smile appeared on his face. His smile stunned the two men beside him. The three figures disappeared into the boundless sea of trees. Yun Sheng suddenly sneezed. Just a moment ago, she seemed to have felt someone looking at her from behind. When she turned around, she didn't see anything. Night. In the southern border of Zhou State, there was a quiet village. When the pitch-black night quietly enveloped the village, a large yellow dog was lying on the ground at the entrance of the village. The yellow moon hung above the treetops at the entrance of the village. This was an ordinary village that could be seen everywhere in Zhou State. There weren't many households in the village, only around 100 or so. This kind of village was very common in Zhou State. Because there were many of them and they were located in a remote area, even the map of Zhou State didn't have any detailed records of them. The commoners living in the village only remembered that the village was called Jianghu village because the shape of the village resembled a well. Most of the villagers here made a living by farming. A small number of families made a living by hunting. These villagers had lived here in peace and contentment for over 100 years. This night was the same as countless other nights. It was still quiet. The sound of the woman singing a lullaby and the chirping of the insects in the grass overlapped, rising and falling one after another. Suddenly, the big yellow dog in the village barked, and the village entrance was brightly lit. Almost at the same time, everyone in the village woke up. They were in a panic. The women hugged their children while the men grabbed the hatchet at the head of the bed. A woman in her 30s hurriedly put on her clothes. Her husband also had a machete in his hand. Father, they're here. Those people are here. What should we do? The woman's voice was mixed with the sound of crying. Don't panic, mother. What will come sooner or later. Lu Zi's father comforted his wife sadly. They hurriedly shook their 13-year-old son Lu Zi awake. Father, mother, are they here? The youth who was called Liu Zi was not tall. When he heard the commotion he also woke up. However, his parents refused to let him out no matter what. They only forcefully pulled him to the side of the bed. They saw that they lifted the straw mat on the bed. Under the straw mat was a cellar. This cellar was obviously dug not long ago. In addition to storing some water and dry food, it could only accommodate one person. Once the straw mat was covered, the cellar could not be seen. It was very hidden. If one did not look carefully, they would not notice it at all. Father, mother, I don't want to go down. Lu Zi held his parents' hands and did not let go. Although he was not old, he was already a sensible child. During this time, the news from the neighboring villages had already made the whole village panic. Lu Zi, when those evil thieves come, the whole village will suffer. Hide in there and remember, don't come out. The water and dry food inside is enough for you to eat for a day and a night. When there's no more movement outside, you can come out. Lu Zi's father heard the sound of crying, children crying and dogs barking outside. He became even more anxious. He gritted his teeth and hit the back of Lu Zi's head hard. Lu Zi only saw darkness in front of his eyes and fainted. Lu Zi's mother wiped her tears and watched Lu Zi's father put the child in the cellar. The couple covered the child with the straw mat again. At this time there was a rough knocking sound outside, and the door was knocked open with a bang. A few wolfhounds with 2 heads rushed in. No matter how dark the night was, it would always end. After an unknown period of time, Lu Zi, who was dry and hungry in the cellar, was awakened by hunger. The cellar was very dark and damp. Remembering his parents' advice, Lu Zi could only grope around in the cellar. When he touched dry food he ate it. When he touched a water bag he drank it. He did not know how much time had passed. Only then did he push open the cellar door. The straw mat was lifted and Lu Zi climbed out. The room was a mess. All the tables and chairs were smashed. The walls and the door were all burned black. Obviously, when the evil thieves broke in, they not only robbed people but also set the room on fire. There was no one in the room. His parents had long disappeared. Lu Zi pushed open the door. It was dark outside. It turned out that he had unknowingly hidden in the cellar for a day and a night. In the village there were ruins everywhere. The residents who used to live there seemed to have disappeared overnight. In the village there was nothing. These neighbors who used to laugh and chat with him had all disappeared overnight. The evil thieves took away all the available able-bodied men. They did not even let go of the women, the elderly, the children, and the livestock. It was that group of people. These beasts, I'm going to kill them. Lu Zi was like a trapped beast, roaring from his throat. At this time, his eyes fell on the corner of his house that was burned to ashes. He saw an iron bow. Lu Zi's ancestors were hunters for generations. This iron bow weighed more than 80 pounds and was the family heirloom of Lu Zi's family. Lu Zi's father never let Lu Zi touch this iron bow before, but tonight, this precious iron bow was abandoned in the corner. Lu Zi stepped forward and picked up the iron bow. The iron bow was scalding hot from the fire, and a few blisters immediately appeared on the boy's hand. But he couldn't care less about this. He carried the iron bow on his back without hesitation and walked towards the dark south. A tragedy like the one that occurred in Jianghu village happened every half a month or so in the southern border of the Great Zhou and later Qin. However, these things were completely unknown to the emperor of Zhou state, who was in the bustling Yujing. A few days later, Yun Sheng and the others had already entered the southern border of Zhou state. In the 8 years since Yun Sheng came to the boundless land, she had spent most of her time in Jianghu village in the northern part of Zhou state. Even Yujing city, where she had stayed for almost 2 years, was located in the central part of Zhou state. Mount Daoi's Hunter Citadel was located in the southern part of Zhou state. However, Mount Daoi was different from the southern part of Zhou state where the purple gold mine was located. Mount Daoi's Hunter Citadel was located in the southwestern part of Zhou state. Legend had it that the purple gold mine was found in the southeastern part of Zhou state. Chapter 308. After parting ways with Zhou Qingchuan, Yun Sheng and the others passed through the difficult Yama Ridge and headed south. As they headed south, the terrain changed from rugged mountain ridges to gentle hills, and the road was much easier to walk on. Yun Sheng listened to Yun Songlong and Zhou Quan's explanations along the way, and had a certain understanding of the southern border of Zhou state. It's been almost 9 years. Sheng, this was once your second uncle's battlefield. In another 2 days we will be able to enter Nanming town. As Yun Songlong neared the southern border, he suddenly felt nostalgic. He thought of the situation when he was in his 20s and was filled with emotions. The members of the Heaven Extermination Hunting Corps also fell silent. At the southern border of the Great Zhou dynasty, 1,000 soldiers of the Yun clan had lost their lives. For many of the members of the Heaven Expedition Hunting Corps, among these people, there were their fathers, brothers, and good brothers. Some of them didn't even bring back their corpses. Second uncle, we have to stand up from where we fell. This time we have to show the soldiers of later Qin the power of our Zhou state. Yun Sheng encouraged everyone. Good. Well said. Sheng, we came to the southern border this time not only to investigate the situation of the purple gold mine, but also to find the corpses of our brothers who died on the battlefield. Yun Songlong was defeated and crippled back then. In a hurry he only had time to bury the corpses of the soldiers. He came this time to fulfill his long-cherished wish of bringing the corpses of his brothers back to the Jade capital. Second uncle, I've already made an appointment with Zhong Yi to meet at the restaurant in the small town ahead. We will continue on our journey and rest for the night in the town ahead. Yun Sheng looked at the sun and saw that it was already close to dusk. As they neared the borders of Zhou State, they had already shed their hunting uniforms. Yun Songlong had already said that the imperial court of Zhou State had neglected their management of this area and it had already become a lawless area. The citizens of Zhou State and later Qin were mostly married and traded with each other, so it was inevitable that there would be some spies involved. The sudden appearance of the Heaven Extermination Hunting Corps, which only had 100 people, was undoubtedly very eye-catching. In order to prevent being discovered, they had to disguise themselves. The current Heaven Expedition Hunting Army had already changed into a merchant group. Everyone's clothes were borrowed from Zhou Qingchuan earlier. Yun Songlong's aura was imposing, so he dressed up as a caravan leader. Yun Sheng also dressed up as a fair-skinned young master. The others also dressed up as the merchant's guards. As for the Oriole, she dressed up as Yun Sheng's maid. According to the agreement between Yun Sheng and Zhong Yi, they arrived at a small town in the south called Southern Cliff Town. Everyone, let's rest at the Yuelai and Renha inns up ahead. Yun Songlong quickly found 2 inns in town. Due to the large number of people, the caravan had no choice but to find 2 inns. Yun Sheng took advantage of the time when everyone was busy to inform Yun Songlong and brought Huang Ke to the restaurant in town. Although Southern Cliff Town was only a border town, it was densely populated and there were many caravans coming and going. Yun Sheng's outfit today was that of an elegant young master. She wore a brocade shirt, short riding boots and a jade crown on her head. Her lips were red and her teeth were white. With a pair of black eyes, she really looked like a young master who had gone out to travel. Huang Ke was also dressed up as a beautiful maid. She wore a pink skirt and a green jacket. When the 2 of them walked together, they attracted the attention of many people. Huang Ke, we are here to inquire about the whereabouts of the purple gold or vein. Why don't we ask the passers-by along the way? Yun Sheng and Huang Ke spoke as they walked. Yun Songlong also did not know the exact whereabouts of the purple gold or vein. Yun Sheng had also asked before. Then what about the people who had participated in the search for the purple gold or vein and the miners who had participated in the early development? Yun Songlong hesitated for a moment and did not speak. Yun Sheng suddenly understood that those people must have been killed. In front of the interests of the country, the lives of the commoners were worthless. As a result, the search for the purple gold or vein this time was even more difficult. The purple gold or vein was very likely to be located at the intersection of the vast Zhou State, later Qin and Tangyuan states. Although the terrain in this area was flat, the area was very wide and spanned hundreds of miles. Yun Sheng did not have any magical beast that she could use to search for the ore, and this made her feel a little awkward. Yun Sheng had thought that the Zhong family would be able to find some clues with the help of the Bat King. However, the Zhong family had not replied. It looked like the results would definitely be disappointing. The 2 of them walked into a restaurant and found a table facing the street. They ordered a few dishes and waited for the Zhong family to arrive. As they were thinking, a peddler came over. The restaurants in Southern Cliff Town were open to the public. Some peddlers and flower sellers would walk around the restaurants and sell some local specialties and trinkets to the merchants passing through the border. This peddler who came over was different from the usual peddlers. He had a careful look on his face and lowered his voice as he said, "This noble young master looking at you, you don't look like you are here to do business. I have something here, do you want to take a look?" The peddler's eyesight was not bad. He saw that Yun Sheng's clothes did not look like those weather-beaten merchants and thought that he was a young master from one of those aristocratic families. The peddlers in this area were all shrewd people. They knew very well that these young masters were most interested in adventures. When the Oriole saw this, he was about to chase him away, but was stopped by Yun Sheng's gaze. "Little brother, what are you selling?" Yun Sheng's face was full of smiles. Seeing that this young master was very amiable, the peddler became even more enthusiastic. He carefully took out a piece of animal skin paper and spread it out in front of Yun Sheng. Yun Sheng had just seen the words "map of the mineral vein," when the peddler kept the map away. "Young master, did you see it clearly? That's great news. I'll tell it to you in secret." The peddler lowered his voice and hid the map well, afraid that someone else would see it. Map of the mineral vein? Could it be the map of the purple gold mine? Yun Sheng was still thinking. "Go away, how dare you deceive us to come here." The peddler was grabbed by the pocket and circled around. The peddler did not even have time to shout before he was thrown out of the restaurant like a stone. There were screams coming from the street. The Zhong family was half angry and half amused as he stood by the side. "Zhong family, what is going on?" Yun Sheng finally understood that there was a problem with the map. Hey, that is a scammer. There are many people selling these kinds of deceptive things in this area. There are more than 10 versions of the so-called mineral vein map. The Zong personality was annoyed. He took out more than 10 mineral vein maps from his storage ring and showed them to Yun Sheng. It turned out that the Zong family came here a month ago because he wanted to complete the task that Yun Sheng had given him to find the mineral vein. He had also asked around. In the end, he met the peddler just now. Although the Zong family was old, he had not really walked around the continent for a long time. He was not careful and he was cheated by the peddler. When he took the so-called map of the mineral vein and searched for it in the mountains and plains for more than 10 days, he found that the map of the mineral vein was fake. After he came back, he gave the peddler a good beating and took away the so-called dozens of versions of the mineral vein map in the peddler's hands. Today he received Yun Sheng's signal and immediately rushed over. Who knew that he would meet another scammer? Chapter 309. When Yun Sheng heard this, she also felt that it was very funny. But immediately, she also knew that the Zong personality's investigation for more than a month probably did not yield any results. Then did you find the villages along the way and ask the local people? Yun Sheng believed that the mineral vein was discovered 8 or 9 years ago, and the villagers in the nearby villages would definitely know something. Speaking of the villagers, I made an unexpected discovery. Recently, a few villages near Zhou State have been raided one after another. The villagers of a village disappeared without a trace in just one night. The Zong personality had also thought of asking the villagers in the nearby villages, but he did not get any information. But he did find out that a few villages had been wiped out. Oh, where are the villages you mentioned? After Yun Sheng asked around, she and the Zong personality rushed to the villages he mentioned. It's nearby, but at this time we can't enter those villages anymore. The nearby officials have found people to seal the villages. The Zong personality was a little embarrassed. He was a sacred beast summoner, but he could not even do such a small thing. Then we can only think of another way. Let's go back and meet up with second uncle first. Yun Sheng also had no other ideas. When the few of them walked out of the restaurant, they suddenly heard a commotion. The restaurant was located in the busiest area of the town, and the market was just outside the door. It was noon now when the market was the most crowded. At the entrance of the market, a young man was kneeling. There was a card written in front of him, but there were a few words written on the card: selling my body for revenge. She had seen people selling their bodies to bury their parents, but she had never seen anyone selling their bodies for revenge. And those who sold their bodies to bury their parents were usually delicate and weak women, but the one kneeling in front of her was a young man. It was also the first time that Yun Sheng had encountered such a thing, and she could not help but be a little interested, so she took the initiative to walk forward. On the card, there were a few lines of words, and the general idea was that the young man had a deep blood feud, and it was difficult to take revenge. He was willing to be a slave for life and find a powerful person who could teach him powerful martial arts or magic. As long as he could take revenge successfully, the young man was willing to be a cow or a horse for life to repay the other party's kindness. This was rare. The young man's cards didn't specify who his enemy was. Yun Sheng secretly looked at the young man from the side. He was about the same age as the Oriole. His body was very sturdy and his hands and feet were thick. His hands and feet looked like he had practiced martial arts. His appearance was ordinary with thick eyebrows and big eyes. He was a very ordinary young farmer. There were no magical elemental fluctuations around him, and his physique could only be considered average. Yun Sheng's thoughts were also the thoughts of the other spectators. Most of them were unwilling to offend an unknown enemy for a youth with average aptitude. As a result, there were many people watching, but very few people actually asked about it. The young man knelt on the ground with his head lowered. He didn't look at the crowd's expression, he just bit his lips tightly. Master, let's go. This kid's talent is average and he doesn't look very bright. The Zong personality curled his lips. His eyes were sharp as he shook his head while looking. Although it wasn't a time of turmoil and chaos, there were many robberies and killings in the borderlands. This young man must be kneeling here because his family was killed and he couldn't take revenge on his own. The Oriole wanted to help because she was also from a poor family. However, she wasn't a powerful magician or warrior, so she could only watch from the side. The crowd gradually dispersed, and Yun Sheng and the other two were just about to leave. A waiter came out of the restaurant. When he saw the young man kneeling on the ground like a block of wood, he was instantly furious. It's you again, Liuzi? Why are you here again? How many times have I told you not to block the restaurant's front? It's bad luck. The waiter raised his hand to push the young man. The waiter was about 23 or 24 years old and had a strong body. Under his push, the young man was unexpectedly pushed to the ground. The young man fell to the ground and didn't move, as if he was dead. "It's over, he's dead." The onlookers at the side discussed. The waiter was so scared that his face turned pale. He had just pushed him lightly. How did he die? He just fainted. Help him to the side. I'm a doctor, I'll take a look. Yun Sheng frowned and looked at Liuzi's unusually pale face. The waiter didn't want to get into trouble with a life, so he hurriedly carried Liuzi to a shady spot at the side of the restaurant with the sect master. Yun Sheng checked his breathing and pulse, and her nose moved slightly. She smelled blood. When she lifted the clothes on Liuzi's back, everyone gasped. Liuzi's back was densely covered with wounds. The wounds looked like arrow wounds and whip wounds, and each of them was so deep that the bone could be seen. If this kind of wound was used on an ordinary person, it would be enough to make them bedridden. Yet all of them had landed on a young man. One could imagine how much pain Liuzi had endured to escape with his life. Yun Sheng scraped away the rotten flesh on Liuzi's back and took out a hemostatic agent. She applied it on Liuzi's body, and the bleeding quickly stopped. "Young master, can you save him? He looks very similar to my younger brother who unfortunately passed away in his early years." "Chow, begs you." Chow, begged Yun Sheng. "Waiter, where is this young man from? Why is he kneeling at the entrance of the restaurant?" Yun Sheng heard the waiter's tone just now and seemed to know this young man. "Guest, you see, he'll be fine, right? I don't really want to chase him away. I know this young man. His father, Liuzi, is a hunter. A few years ago, this young man and his father often sent fresh beast meat to our restaurant." The waiter saw that Yun Sheng was a doctor at such a young age and couldn't help but respect her. He didn't dare to hide anything and told her about Liuzi's identity. What about his family? It was really inconvenient for Yun Sheng to bring an unfamiliar young man with her on this trip. "They're all gone," the waiter said with some hesitation. He looked at Liuzi, who was covered in wounds, and finally said it. Liuzi's family was originally very happy and blissful. He had a father and a mother and lived in Jianghu village, which was not far from Southern Cliff Town. The village often sent game and rice to the town. But just a few nights ago, a group of bandits suddenly came to Jianghu village and ransacked the entire village, not even leaving behind a single animal. Liuzi was lucky enough to survive. But this child also didn't care about his life. After he escaped, not only did he not leave Jianghu village, he even came to the village and pawned his ancestral bow, saying that he was going to take revenge. He first heard that there was a professional hunter in town, so he spent all his money to hire a hunter. But not long after, he heard that the hunter was also killed. Liuzi was lucky enough to escape. However, his body was severely injured. He didn't have the money to treat his injuries and only thought about revenge, so he knelt in the bustling town every day, begging people to be apprenticed to him. After a long time, the merchants in town were afraid of him and didn't want him to block the door. The waiter was also ordered by his boss to chase him away, but who knew that Liuzi was hungry and cold, and with his injuries he fainted. Everyone in the village went missing? It's unknown whether they're alive or dead. Don't the authorities or the nearby guards care about such a thing? Yun Sheng was also in disbelief. Thank you for Min and Ling Jingdi's tips. Chapter 310. "Ah, young master, you must have come from a big city. You don't understand the situation of our small border villages at all." The waiter was used to this. Southern Cliff Town and the nearby villages are not under the jurisdiction of the government. Look at our land. There are people from later Qin, Zhou State and Tang Yuan. The government of any country doesn't dare to control these people. The waiter told Yun Sheng some of the local situation. Yun Sheng, who came from Yujing, did not know these things. The area around Southern Cliff Town was not under the jurisdiction of the nearby government, but was under the jurisdiction of the nearby garrison. Yun Sheng remembered that second uncle once said that the current garrison in this area was the nephew of the Marquis of Jiyuan. The Marquis of Jiyuan was also the second general in the imperial court after the residence of Yun. When the incident happened in the nearby villages, the garrison only rushed over a few days later after receiving the news. However, they only brought a few soldiers over and sealed off the village. After investigating, they did not find any clues and left the matter unsettled. Because of this, the people of the nearby villages were in a state of panic. The villages that were slightly richer would hire some hunters to protect them. The villages that were poor could only pray to the heavens that misfortune would not come to their door. The waiter of the restaurant was also from a nearby village. His family was also worried day and night about that unknown group of bandits coming to their door. Speaking of those bandits, they were really very mysterious. They came and went without a trace. Even if the government wanted to investigate, they could not find any clues. As a result, the rumors of the villagers' livestock going missing for no reason became more and more ridiculous. Zhongshige, is the Jianghu village that the waiter mentioned one of the villages that were attacked? Yunxing asked. Yes, master. Zhongshige nodded. Hearing the waiter's words, everyone sympathized with Lu Zi even more. In fact, the information that he heard was similar to what the waiter said. That group of mysterious bandits came and went without a trace. Even he did not find any clues. Let's take him back first. When he wakes up, we'll think of a way. Yunsheng had a feeling that she might find something unexpected on Lu Zi. When Yunsheng returned to the inn, Zhou Quan had already settled the hunters down. Where's my second uncle? Yunsheng wanted to tell Yun Songlong what she had heard and listen to his opinion. After all, Yun Songlong had stayed in the border area for a while and was more familiar with the surrounding situation. Yunsheng also wanted to inquire about some information regarding the Marquis of Jiyuan's army through Yun Songlong. Commander went out, but he didn't say where he went. He was still with everyone earlier, saying that he was going to pay a visit to Marquis of Jiyuan's garrison. When everyone turned around, he was gone. Zhou Quan was surprised to see that Yun Sheng had brought an injured youth back. Yun Sheng looked around and realized that Yun Songlong had left in a hurry. He didn't even take his horse with him. If he went out of the city to inspect the terrain, he would definitely take the horses with him. You went out alone? Didn't you leave a message? Yun Sheng felt that it was a bit strange. According to her understanding of her second uncle, if he had something to do, he would definitely notify her in advance. It should be. Actually, I was also a bit hazy at that time. Zhou Quan rubbed his head in embarrassment. We were just settling down the horses and luggage outside when someone was busking on the street. The music was so good that I was entranced by it. It wasn't just Zhou Quan. The other hunters who were present also had the same reaction. What kind of artist? Yun Sheng looked at the street again but didn't see any artists. It seemed to be a young man playing a flute. Zhou Quan thought for a long time, but still couldn't remember the artist's appearance. You guys take good care of this youth. If he wakes up, calm him down first. Zhong Yi, Huang Ke, the three of us will go out of town together to find second uncle. Yun Sheng felt a wave of unease in her heart. She vaguely felt that the artist wasn't simple. Standing at the entrance of the town, the road in front of them split into two. One led to the south, the other led to the north. They didn't know which side Yun Songlong went to. In order to make it easier to find him, Yun Sheng and Zhong Yi split up. They agreed that if they didn't find Yun Songlong before sunset, they would return to the inn first. Huang Ke's legs weren't as fast as Yun Sheng's, so Yun Sheng simply cast a levitation technique on her. The two of them went to the south of town to search. Miss, why are you so worried? Did something happen to the general? Huang Ke knew Yun Sheng. Even if MT Tai collapsed in front of her, she wouldn't easily change her expression. But at this time, Yun Sheng's expression was gloomy. She couldn't help but worry. And you might not have noticed, but when I came back just now, Zhou Quan and the others' eyes were still a bit blurry. It was clear that someone used a special method to hypnotize them. Yun Sheng's Shinong Eye actually had a similar effect. But she knew that if she only used the current Shinong Eye, it was absolutely impossible to hypnotize a martial marquis expert like Yun Songlong. The other party had secretly hypnotized Zhou Quan and lured Yun Songlong away as a prostitute. The other party's strength, at least in the aspect of hypnotism, was much higher than her own. The only person Yun Shinga could think of was someone from Grand Emperor City. The two of them hurried all the way. Unknowingly, they were already 5 to 6 li away. After leaving the town, the front looked very desolate. Further ahead was the intersection of Zhou State, later Qin, and Tangyuan. Because this area was remote, it was mixed with good people and bad people. Yun Sheng had no choice but to slow down her movements. But there was still no trace of Yun Songlong ahead. The sky was getting darker and darker. It was almost dusk. Yun Sheng still couldn't find Yun Songlong's whereabouts. She couldn't help but wonder if she was looking in the wrong direction. She only hoped that Zhong Yi's luck would be better. Just as Yun Sheng was about to turn around and return to the town first, she and the Oriole paused at the same time. Exclamation point. Yun Sheng and the Oriole looked at each other. Oriole, did you hear anything? Yun Sheng frowned. It seems to be the sound of a flute. This flute sound is very familiar. The Oriole wasn't very sure either. She looked ahead blankly. It's the flute sound. It should be not far away. Dihong song. This flute sound is very similar to the incomplete song you played earlier. Yun Sheng couldn't help but become cautious. Suddenly hearing the familiar Dihong song in this kind of place, and the song was obviously much smoother and more skillful than any of the times the Oriole had played earlier. Could it be that the people from Dihong City had come? Although Yun Sheng wasn't very proficient in music, her memory was very good. Yun Songlong had also taught her 3 chapters of Dihong song. The two of them didn't hesitate and immediately rushed forward. The field of vision in front gradually widened. The scene in front of them made Yun Sheng and the Oriole stop in their tracks. What did they see? Chapter 311. An hour ago, not long after Yun Sheng went to town. Yun Songlong had just settled the hunter's quarters when he saw that Yun Sheng had yet to return. He discussed with Zhou Quan whether they should go to the nearby Marquis of Jiyuan's garrison to ask for news. After the Yun family troops left, the Marquis of Jiyuan took the opportunity to ask the Zhou state's emperor for an assignment for his nephew. Just as Yun Songlong and Zhou Quan were discussing, he suddenly heard charming music drifting from the street. When he heard the music, Yun Songlong felt his entire body tremble. A name that had been hidden in the bottom of his heart for a long time entered his mind. Xiahua. It was a piece of music that Yuan Xiahua had played for him when he first met her in order to repay him for saving her life. Ever since his hands were crippled, Yun Songlong had never touched a musical instrument again. At the same time, he had also hidden his longing for Yuan Xiahua deep in his heart. In order to sever his feelings for Yuan Xiahua, he kept thinking about how Yuan Xiahua had lied to him back then. Yuan Xiahua might have already been married. But all of this was instantly shattered when he heard the music. He couldn't help but look back, searching for that familiar and beautiful figure that made him feel endless pain at the same time. He couldn't find Yuan Xiahua in the crowd. The music brought him along and he couldn't help but take a step forward. He didn't even have time to say goodbye to Zhou Quan and the others before leaving Southern Cliff Town. The music brought him forward. Yun Songlong also left Southern Cliff Town. Yun Songlong didn't ride a horse. He just walked along the main road outside Southern Cliff Town. Yun Songlong's legs were strong. He walked all the way and unknowingly, he had already left Southern Cliff Town and arrived at a hillside. At the end of the plain was Southern Cliff City. Until he entered the graveyard. Yun Songlong stood on the hillside with his hands behind his back, looking at Southern Cliff City from afar. His memories unknowingly drifted back to 8 or 9 years ago, the scene when he met Yuan Xiahua. He recalled her every frown and smile when she played the zither. He recalled the situation when they first met. Yun Songlong muttered bitterly to himself. Xiahua, how have you been all these years? You should have been married for many years. Yun Songlong sighed. With great difficulty he walked down the hill. On the opposite side of the hill was an endless plain. The border was located in the southeast. The plants in this area were very lush, but this plain seemed very bleak. On the plains there were no trees. There were only tombstones. This was the place where the Yun clan soldiers were buried. Those who were once Yun Songlong's closest comrades were all lying here. The sound of a flute drifted into his ears. The sound of the flute rose and fell. Yun Songlong, who was immersed in his memories, did not notice it at all. A scene suddenly appeared in his mind. On the battlefield, flesh and blood splattered everywhere as countless soldiers fell one by one. General, the brothers will cover you. Leave quickly. General, bring my corpse back to the Jade capital and pass it to my wife. General, leave now. The sound of the flute suddenly changed. It went from high pitch to low pitch. It sounded like weeping. Yun Songlong felt like there were galloping horse hooves beside his ears. It also felt like there was a bugle horn. His eyes turned hazy. Memories flooded in, and the originally enchanting music changed abruptly. Yun Songlong, who was already immersed in the sound of the flute, screamed in pain and knelt down. A silver-robed man was already standing in the cemetery. His appearance was otherworldly. If Yun Songlong took a closer look, he would realize that the man looked very similar to Yuan Xiahua. This man was Yuan Xiahua's younger brother, Yuan Bupo. Yuan Bupo looked at Yun Songlong from afar. He saw that Yun Songlong was holding his head in pain. His hand had indeed recovered. He would return the pain he brought to his sister. Yuan Bupo held a purple jade flute in his hand. The design of the flute was very special. His plump lips were pressed against the purple flute, and music kept flowing from his lips. The sixth movement of the Grand Emperor, the Song of Life and Death. It could bring out the darkest side of a person's heart and make them immerse in the painful memories of the past. Yun Songlong was completely immersed in it. There was only endless death in his eyes. Yuan Shaohua's departure and the brothers of the Yun family's army falling one by one were all because of him. He had gone against the Grand Emperor. Let's end my sister's pain. Yuan Bupo's flute changed again. Just as he was about to kill Yun Songlong, two figures came from the other side. It's General Yun. Huang Ke and Yun Sheng were shocked when they saw Yun Songlong in the cemetery, who loved pain like a trapped beast. At the same time, they also noticed the man standing in the middle of the cemetery. The man was holding a purple jade flute. The flute music was the source of Yun Songlong's pain. Yun Sheng and Huang Ke tried to get closer, but they found that they could not move forward. The two of them were only 100 steps away from Yun Songlong, but they could not move forward. There seemed to be an extra wall in front of them. The two of them could not pass through that wall. This wall was very special. It was not formed by magic elements, nor was it a wall of fighting aura. It's a sound wave wall. This person must be from the Grand Emperor's city. Yun Sheng did not know the young man's intention. He did not look at the two of them as if he did not care about them at all. What should we do? General looks like he's in pain. Huang Ke was anxious. Huang Ke, try playing the Dihong song. When Yun Sheng brought Huang Ke out, she already had a premonition that Yun Songlong's sudden departure might be related to the Grand Emperor's city. However, she could not be sure if this person was related to Yuan Shaohua or Shen Wuji. This man was obviously torturing Yun Songlong, but he did not seem to have any intention of killing him. Otherwise, he would have had plenty of opportunities to kill Yun Songlong in that period of time when Yun Songlong had lost control of himself. Huang Ke nodded. Ever since she learned the Dihong song, she had been practicing diligently. Now, she had comprehended the second movement of the Dihong song. The weapon she chose was very special. It was the bone guqin left behind by her mother. Huang Ke took off the bone guqin from her back. She tuned the instrument and plucked the strings. Her slender fingers plucked the strings. The strings of the guqin sang softly. A sound like a stream after a spring rain rang out. Dihong song? Yuan Bupo, who was in the graveyard, raised his eyebrows when he heard the familiar music. There was a hint of contempt in his heart. At the same time, he felt some resentment towards Yuan Shaohua. His elder sister had really fallen in love with Yun Songlong. She had even taught him the Dihong song. Unfortunately, how could these ordinary people who were born outside the Grand Emperor's city understand the true essence of the Dihong song? Today Yuan Bupo, would show these ordinary people what the real Dihong song was. Chapter 312. The corners of Yuan Bupo's lips curled up and he looked even more enchanting. He started to walk slowly and the flute music that flowed out from the purple flute became more lively. Hearing the changes in the flute music, Yun Sheng, who was not very proficient in music, could only look at the Oriole's expression. The Oriole had obviously noticed the changes in the flute music. She immediately adjusted the music and tried her best to eliminate the disturbance of the flute music. Yuan Bupo was a proud person. How could he allow Dihong Cheng's song to be tainted? Listening to the man's music and looking at her instrument, she knew that he had only learned 2 chapters of Dihong song. A dazzling smile appeared on the man's face. The flute in his hand flashed with a purple light, and a force that resembled both fighting aura and magical elemental energy surged out. His slender fingers quickly pressed on the body of the flute and the original music changed instantly. The flute music suddenly became faster. If the original flute music was like a small stream, at this moment, the flute music had become a majestic river. After the storm, the vigorous river water that poured down was extremely powerful. Every time it fell, it would make one's mind sway. However, as the flute music became louder, Yun Sheng realized that the Oriole's hand movements became faster and faster. At first, she thought that the Oriole was fighting against the man's flute music. However, as she went on, she realized that the Oriole's hand movements became faster and faster. That speed had already exceeded the speed that her hand could bear. The Oriole was controlled by the man's flute music. Her fingers seemed to have lost control and the music became messy. The man's flute music led her music and it became faster and faster. Not only that, the Oriole's originally pale face turned red. Oriole. Yun Sheng saw that the situation was not good and immediately warned her. The Oriole quivered when Yun Sheng called her. Suddenly, there was a metallic taste in her throat and she spat out a mouthful of blood. The bone instrument in her hand also made a bang, and one of the strings broke. The sharp strings cut her finger and the strings were immediately covered in blood. Master, he's too strong. The Oriole only managed to say one sentence before she fainted. How could such a mediocre person learn Dihong song? Damn it, Yun Xing checked Oriole's body and found that the Do Chi in her body was very chaotic. Oriole had only been learning Do Chi for a few months, so her foundation was not stable enough. If it wasn't for her beast blood fusion, the sound of the flute would have injured her internal organs. Yun Xing hurriedly checked on her condition. Fortunately, she was only injured by the other party's flute music and did not have any internal injuries. You can be considered a man, but you actually let a woman fight. There was disdain in the eyes of the man with the purple flute. Yun Xing was dressed as a man today. Yuan Bu saw her handsome face and had a good impression of her. However, he did not expect that she would ask her subordinate to attack. This made Yuan Bu look down on him. Yun Xing was completely infuriated by the disdain on the other party's face after witnessing her second uncle's serious injury and her second uncle's pain. Unfortunately, she did not know how to play music. Yun Xing frowned and looked at Oriole's bone guqin. Yun Xing took a deep breath and suppressed the restlessness and violence in her heart. She closed her eyes and recalled Oriole's flute music. She didn't know who this silver-clothed man was in Grand Emperor City, but from the fact that he could control Yun Songlong's divine sense and severely injure Oriole with just a flute tune, the other party's skills were definitely not low. However, judging by his age, he was definitely not Shen Wuji. If she left, second uncle would fall into his hands. If she did not leave, how was she going to break this sound wall? This wall was obviously unbreakable by magic and Do Chi. She could only use the Dihong song to determine the winner. How many chapters of the Dihong song did he cultivate? She did not care anymore. She only had 3 chapters of the Dihong song. She would use the 3rd chapter of the Dihong city song. Yun Xing recalled the 3 chapters of the Dihong song that Yun Songlong had taught her. Then she slowly recalled Oriole's flute music. Yun Xing's memory was good to begin with. She had only seen it once, but she had already memorized most of the Oriole's gestures. Yuan Bu thought that one of them would retreat after being injured by the flute music. However, Yun Xing did not retreat. Instead, she closed her eyes all of a sudden. After a while, the young man opened his eyes all of a sudden. As soon as he opened his eyes, Yuan Bu could not help but take a few more glances at his dark eyes. He sat in front of the guqin again. He looked at the guqin carefully before he began to play it. Si, la. An unpleasant, blunt sound was unusually ear-piercing in the empty field. One of the guqin strings was broken. It was not an expensive guqin, so its tone was mediocre to begin with. However, Oriole's skills were quite good. Hence, he managed to avoid the flaws of the guqin due to the lack of tone. However, Yun Xing destroyed the last bit of beauty of the sound as soon as she took over the instrument. To Yuan Bu, who was proficient in music, the most painful thing was listening to a music addict play. Yuan Bu could not help but frown. What the hell is this? Yuan Bu almost cursed it out loud. He just realized that the young man who looked rather pleasing to the eye was tone-deaf to such an extent. He might not even be able to differentiate between the most basic instruments of the guqin. He did not know how to play the guqin at all. If you don't know how to play the guqin, why are you playing the guqin? Listening to the intermittent sound of the guqin, one could barely tell that he was playing the 3rd chapter of the Dihong song. It was such a waste. If the owner of the Dihong song heard this, he might have crawled out of his coffin in anger. However, he did not give up and played the song again after the young man finished playing it while stuttering. The second time. It was only the second time, but Yuan Bu's frown grew even deeper. This was because he realized that the young man's smoothness during the second time was much smoother than the first time. The sound of the guqin was beginning to take shape during the 3rd time. Could it be that he was practicing the Dihong song earlier? Or is this his first time playing the Dihong song? Yuan Bu's initial anger turned into shock. Only those who had played the Dihong song would know how difficult it was to play the Dihong song. Even Yuan Bu, who was known as the rare genius in 500 years in Dihong City, could only play the Dihong song in its entirety after practicing it 10 times. However, the young man before him was stuttering and managed to play the 3rd chapter of the Dihong song after 3 tries. Great. You're brave. Since that's the case, I'll play with you again. Yun Xing's poor guqin sound had unintentionally triggered Yuan Bu's competitive spirit. Unknowingly, Yuan Bu had set his target today as Yun Xing. Yun Songlong was still in a daze, but he had stopped groaning in pain. Chapter 313. The sky had turned dark. The sky above the thousands of tombstones was pitch black without any stars or moon. There was only a bluish-purple phosphorescence floating around the tombstones. At that moment, nobody was paying attention to it. Yun Sheng's attention was focused on the zither in her hand. Yuan Bupo, on the other hand, was focused on Yun Sheng. He placed his lips on the purple flute again and moved his lips slightly. His fingers pressed on the holes of the flute agilely, and a beautiful flute tune was heard again. Similar to the time when Huang Ke was playing, Yuan Bupo's flute tune was slow in the beginning. It was like a lullaby for a child to sleep. However, as the flute tune got better, his flute tune became faster and faster. At that moment, Yun Sheng also sensed the difficult situation that Huang Ke was in. She felt like she had lost control of her fingers as she played continuously. Waves of music followed the flute tune. You do have some skills. However, I won't lose to you in terms of hand speed. Yun Sheng lifted her head and winked at Yuan Bupo, who had a smug look on his face. Her lips curled into a smile, revealing 2 deep dimples on her face. When Yuan Bupo saw Yun Sheng's smile, he had a strange feeling in his heart. It was numbing. However, his eyes widened in the next moment. He noticed that the young man's hand, which was playing the zither, had become strangely fast. He had never seen anyone's hand as fast as the young man's. In the dark, it was as if he could not see his opponent's hand. The third movement of the Dihong song was played at an unbelievable speed. Fast, it was so fast. The speed had unintentionally disrupted Yuan Bupo's flute tune. The zither tune that was initially led by Yuan Bupo's flute tune suddenly changed its direction and led Yuan Bupo's flute tune. The sudden change almost caused Yuan Bupo to be depressed. The two of them stared at each other, neither of them was willing to admit defeat. An indescribable mysterious energy formed rapidly as the two of them played the zither and flute together. Boom! The sound wave wall shattered with a loud bang. Yuan Bupo and Yun Sheng shuddered at the same time. Yuan Bupo left to adjust his aura. When he looked at the young man again, he saw that the corner of his mouth had turned red. He must have been injured internally by the sound of the flute. Bright red blood flowed down from the corner of his mouth, making his skin look even more translucent. At that moment, Yuan Bupo had a strange feeling, as if there was an indescribable pain in his heart. At that time, Yun Songlong's originally muddled consciousness was also pulled back. When he woke up, he saw Yun Sheng, the unconscious Huang Ke, and the man standing not far away from him. When he saw the man's appearance clearly, Yun Songlong couldn't help but cry out involuntarily, Xiaohua. Yun Sheng and Yuan Bupo came back to their senses when they heard Xiaohua. Yuan Bupo glanced at Yun Songlong and put away his purple flute. Yun Songlong, you don't deserve to call my sister by her name. You are Xiaohua's younger brother, Bupo? Yun Songlong remembered that Yun Xiaohua had once mentioned that she had a younger brother in her family. What do you mean, Xiaohua? Yun Songlong was anxious to know where Yuan Xiaohua was. However, when he saw the surrounding tombstones, he didn't want to ask any further. She's fine. You don't need to worry about her. Yun Songlong, my sister doesn't know that I'm looking for you today. You're quite lucky. I originally wanted to make you go crazy and break down. I didn't expect this kid to accidentally ruin my plan. Yuan Bupo glanced at Yun Sheng unhappily. His sound wave wall was actually broken by a music addict. If news of this were to spread, would he, Yuan Bupo, still have a foothold in Grand Emperor City? What's your name? You're injured today and the guqin you're using is too weak. Another day after you've recovered, I'll fight you again. Yuan Bupo was young and hot-blooded. Although Yun Sheng had broken his sound wave wall earlier, he could tell that Yun Sheng was no match for him. He didn't want to take advantage of her and planned to fight another day with Yun Sheng. Before Yun Sheng could reply, a coquettish voice was heard from behind. Brother Bupo, I finally found you. When he heard that voice, Yuan Bupo's scalp went numb and he cursed in his heart. Oh no, he was careless earlier and was competing with someone. However, he forgot that the troublesome woman from Grand Emperor City had also left to travel. Wasn't he caught by her again? Yun Sheng's eyes lit up. A fiery red figure descended from the sky. It was an extremely beautiful woman. Her skin was fair and she had a pair of slightly upturned red phoenix eyes. Her brows were like distant mountains and her lips were like fire. The young lady wore a gorgeous headdress on her head. Looking at her body, it was actually an 8th-rank four-eyed bird. It's you? The young lady didn't come alone. There was a middle-aged man standing behind her. The man's face was thin. Although he was good-looking, he was a little mean. Almost at the same time, Yun Songlong and the middle-aged man were shocked. Even if the man behind the young lady had turned into ashes, Yun Songlong could still remember the man's face clearly. Yun Songlong gritted his teeth and said 3 words. Xian Wuji. When he said Xian Wuji's name, Yun Songlong's face was filled with anger. His body immediately exuded a terrifying fighting aura. Yun Songlong met Xian Wuji again in the graveyard that was filled with the skeletons of the Yun family army. Yun Sheng then realized that the person who had come was the young master of Grand Emperor City, Xian Wuji, who had an irreconcilable feud with her second uncle. When enemies meet, their eyes would turn red. Yuan Bupo also had a bad feeling. He didn't expect Xian Mimi to come out with Xian Wuji. Fortunately, they had bumped into Yun Songlong. Xian Wuji didn't recognize Yun Songlong at first. However, when he felt the strong murderous aura from Yun Songlong, he couldn't help but take a few more glances at him. When he saw Yun Songlong's face, which was obviously much younger than his own, and his hands, which were as good as new, fear and anger quickly swallowed his rationality like a ferocious sea. Yun Songlong's hands were actually healed. Not only that, his appearance and aura were exactly the same as before. No, it should be said that his cultivation seemed to have risen to a whole new level. I was wondering who it was. So it's General Yun. What? Do you feel guilty when you see the graveyard of the soldiers who died tragically for you? Xian Wuji saw that Yuan Bupo and Yun Songlong were meeting privately. He assumed that Yuan Bupo was entrusted by his sister, Yuan Xiaohua, to come here. Jealousy filled his heart. Yun Songlong, if I can't have it this time, you won't either. Xian Wuji. Yun Songlong felt his head explode. He couldn't wait to tear Xian Wuji into pieces. Second uncle. Yun Sheng suddenly spoke. Yun Songlong's mind, which was originally clouded by hatred and anger, calmed down a little. Yun Sheng was also on guard against Yun Songlong. Beside her, the red and green four-eyed birds were glaring at Yun Sheng and the others. There were a total of 3 people from Grand Emperor City. On their side, there were only Yun Songlong and himself. The Oriole was severely injured. If they really fought, they would be the ones at a disadvantage. Yun Sheng's safety was the most important thing. Thank you Bayu, Meidai, Yu and Ud for your tips. Chapter 3:14. He had to take revenge, but he could not act recklessly. The tombstones around him reminded Yun Songlong of the terrible consequences he had suffered back then. Mimi, what are you doing here? Yuan Bupo had a headache. He had finally gotten rid of Xian Mimi, but he did not expect her to pester him again. I'm here to look for you. Why are you with them? Have you forgotten that Yun Songlong is the enemy of Grand Emperor City? Who was the one who harmed Sister Xiaohua? Yun Songlong was stunned by Xian Mimi's words. Hearing Yuan Xiaohua's name, he blurted out, What happened to Xiaohua? She's here too? Yun Songlong, Xiaohua is my fiancée. What does her condition have to do with you? Xian Wuji was furious. He thought he had completely destroyed Yun Songlong, but he did not expect Yun Songlong to be standing in front of him. Young city governor, please watch your words. My sister has already broken off the engagement with you. She has nothing to do with you anymore. Yuan Bupo was unhappy with Xian Wuji's words. Although he did not like Yun Songlong compared to Xian Wuji and Yun Songlong's unruly sister, he found Yun Songlong more pleasing to the eye. In Yuan Bupo's eyes, Xian Wuji, the young city governor, did not have much prestige. In a place like Grand Emperor City, the experts were superior. A young city governor who had his cultivation damaged and could not break through would not be able to do anything. Xian Wuji had never been humiliated like this before. Moreover, it was in front of his archenemy Yun Songlong. He was instantly enraged. Yuan Bupo, don't think that you can challenge me just because you have talent. If it was not for your engagement with Mimi, I would have dealt with you long ago. As soon as he heard about the marriage agreement, Yuan Bupo was annoyed. He stole a glance at Yun Sheng as if he was possessed. She was looking at him and Xian Mimi with interest. Deal with you? You. Yuan Bupo panicked when Yun Sheng looked at him. What engagement? I did not agree to it. I already have someone in my heart. Xian Mimi's face turned pale when she heard him. Yuan Bupo, what did you say? Don't you know that the city has already decided to let us enter the tomb together? Who is your sweetheart? Is it Lu Xian and her sister from the city? Or is it one of your slutty servant girls? What nonsense are you guessing? Yuan Bupo felt like he was a playboy after being questioned by her like that. He thought for a moment, then suddenly rushed in front of Yun Sheng. He pulled Yun Sheng, who was listening intently, over and pointed at Yun Sheng without hesitation. He said without blushing, the person I like is her. Yuan Bupo played the flute quickly, but his actions were even faster. He grabbed Yunsheng's hand, and when he touched her hand, he realized that Yunsheng's hand was very delicate. It was icy cold, completely different from the rough joints of ordinary men. For a moment she was actually reluctant to let go. Yunsheng looked like she was watching a good show, but in the next second she realized that everyone's eyes were focused on her. Yunsheng wanted to say something, but she swallowed her words when she saw Yuan Bupo's warning look. Him? That's impossible. Yuan Bupo, it's your first time meeting him. How could you like him? Moreover, he's a man. Xian Mimi was so angry that her eyes were wide open. She wanted to rush forward and pull Yunsheng and Yuan Bupo away. Yunsheng nodded frantically when she heard what Xian Mimi said. She could not help but agree, that's right. It's our first time meeting. However, Yuan Bupo looked at Yunsheng affectionately. He used the most affectionate voice he had ever used in his entire life to say, haven't you heard of love at first sight? Don't you know that if you like someone, it doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman? You and I definitely didn't fall in love at first sight. Yunsheng recalled that she almost had a fight to the death with Yuan Bupo earlier. She could only blame Xian Mimi for coming too late. She only watched the second half but did not see the first half. Impossible. I'm talking about you. Who are you? Xian Mimi was so angry that she lost her mind. She pointed at Yunsheng with a furious expression. My name is Yunsheng. Yunsheng knew that Yuan Bupo was using her as a shield. Initially she wanted to deny it. However, when she saw the Xian siblings' constipated faces, she felt happy from the bottom of her heart. She decided not to admit it or deny it. She forced herself to play along with Yuan Bupo. Yunsheng. Another Yun who dares to steal my man. Xian Mimi raised her brows. A guqin appeared in her hand all of a sudden. The guqin's color was simple and it emitted a powerful energy wave. Xian Mimi leaving Imperial Grand City this time was originally for the sake of traveling. In order to persuade her to leave Grand Emperor City with him, Xian Wuji used a famous guqin as a gift to buy a saint-grade guqin for her. With this guqin, Xian Mimi's Dihong song would be much more powerful. Yuan Bupo did not expect that his momentary interest would drag Yunsheng into danger. It's the 7th guqin. Xian Mimi, come at me if you have anything. Don't hurt her. Yuan Bupo was so anxious that he hid Yunsheng behind him. His unconscious action made Xian Mimi even more jealous. She and Yuan Bupo were childhood sweethearts. Yuan Bupo had always been arrogant due to his extraordinary talent and family background. In Grand Emperor City, even though she was the city lord's beloved daughter, he never looked at her in the eye, let alone ordinary women. However, today he was very protective of that handsome young man. This made Xian Mimi even more suspicious of their relationship. The situation was tense and they were on the verge of a fight. Right at this moment, a black shadow was seen flying over like a bolt of lightning. A giant bat descended from the sky. The Zong personality suddenly appeared. Master, I found you. Li Diyin, you're here too. That's great. The Zong personality walked towards the north. However, he did not find Yun Songlong's shadow even after searching for a long time. He knew that he must have gone the wrong way. Hence he turned back and looked towards the south. After searching for a while, he found a graveyard in front of him. Yunsheng's aura was beside the graveyard. The Zong personality's appearance changed the situation on the battlefield. As soon as the commander-level Bat King appeared, Xian Mimi's 2 demonic birds could not help but cry out in fear. Saint Beast Summoner? Yuan Bupo and Xian Wuji also recognized the sorcerer who looked to be in his early 30s. However, his summoning abilities were shocking. He was a Saint Beast Summoner. Moreover, this person even addressed the handsome young man as master? Chapter 315. Xian Wuji thought to himself, isn't he from the Yun family? The Yun family is a family of martial artists. How did they manage to recruit such a powerful sacred beast summoner? Even in a place like the Grand Emperor City, there were only 2 sacred beast summoners under the governor. Yuan Bupo would definitely not help them. Yun Songlong's power had already recovered. With the addition of a sacred beast summoner and a commander-level demonic beast, his power was not inferior to theirs. Mimi, let's forget about what happened today. Xian Wuji was not stupid. He was not willing to take the risk. Xian Mimi's face was filled with unwillingness, but she could also see that the power behind Yunsheng was not small. The siblings sat on the Chongming bird resentfully and left together. Yuan Bupo heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that both of them had left. He did not know which side he should help if the siblings from the Shen family and the Yun family were to get into a conflict. Although he did not like Yun Songlong, his nephew, Yuan Bupo thought to himself. Suddenly he felt someone glaring at him. Do you have any sense of shame? How can you hold my mistress's hand? When the Oriole woke up, she saw her mistress being held by the man playing the flute. She immediately snatched Yun Sheng away like a mother hen protecting her chick. Yuan Bupo coughed a few times. A rare look of shyness appeared on his face. Thank you for what you did just now. You don't have to thank me. It was nothing. However, I have a question for you. Was what Shen Wuji said earlier true? Yuan Xiaohua is your sister. She did not marry Shen Wuji. Where is she now? Yun Songlong's expression changed when he heard Yun Sheng's question. Sheng. Yun Sheng did not know whether to laugh or cry. She looked at her second uncle and saw that he had no intention of asking any questions. Why are you asking this? Even if my sister did not marry Shen Wuji, she would never marry your uncle. He's not worthy of my sister. When Yuan Bupo heard his sister's name, he thought about his sister's current miserable state. She could not return to the Grand Emperor city and did not leave the house in her middle age. He was furious. He glanced at Yun Sheng, then turned around and left. Yun Songlong was also unhappy. He turned and left, leaving Yun Sheng, the Oriole, and the confused Zong behind. Sai, let's go back to the town first. It will take some time for the both of them to be resolved. Wait a minute, was what Yuan Bupo said earlier true? Yun Sheng also understood that there were some things that she could not solve alone. However, the situation just now allowed her to see some clues. Her second uncle might Yun Songlong thought Yun Songlong, to the Yun family. However, Yun Sheng was able to tell that Yuan Bupo was filled with resentment towards Yun Songlong. If Yuan Xiaohua had truly betrayed Yun Songlong back then, he would definitely not behave in such a manner. There must be some misunderstanding. However, since Yuan Bupo appeared at the border, it meant that Yuan Xiaohua was probably nearby. Yun Sheng planned to find out where the Yuan siblings were after settling the purple gold mine incident. She wanted to resolve the conflict between her second uncle and her future sister-in-law. Master, when I was following them, I discovered something. The Zong persona had coincidentally passed by an abandoned village when he was chasing towards the north. Oh? What did you discover? That village looked like it was abandoned not long ago. The situation inside was the same as the one in Liuzi's village that we met earlier. There were some Zhou state soldiers guarding the entrance of the village. I walked around the village when they were not paying attention and discovered the aura of a demonic beast. The Zong master was a summoner and was very sensitive to the aura of demonic beasts. Aura of demonic beasts. Are you sure? Yun Sheng immediately felt that something was amiss. The Zhou state border was the border of 3 countries. However, due to the commoners gathering there, it was almost impossible to discover demonic beasts. Needless to say, demonic beasts would form groups and enter the commoners' village. The Zong master narrowed his eyes. The Zong master said. There were no traces of demonic beasts outside the village. However, there were some footprints of demonic beasts inside the village. He and Yun Sheng looked at each other. Both of them looked at the Bat King perched at the side at the same time. Anyone with experience in rearing flying demonic beasts would know that those were traces left by flying demonic beasts. In other words, the group of bandits who had wreaked havoc in the village and left no traces behind were most likely riding on flying demonic beasts. Yun Sheng and the Zong master returned to the town together. Yun Sheng and the Zong master returned to the town. Yun Songlong had already returned to the town. The moment Yun Sheng entered the door, she saw the youth named Lu Zi kneeling in front of Yun Songlong, refusing to get up. Lu Zi woke up in the evening just as Yun Sheng had expected. However, after he woke up, he did not say a word. No matter how Zhou Quan and the rest asked, he did not speak. Until Yun Songlong returned. Lu Zi did not say a word when he saw Yun Songlong. He climbed down from the bed and kowtowed to him a few times. Lu Zi. Get up first. Why are you kneeling to me for no reason? You must know that a man should not kneel to the heavens, the earth, and his parents. Yun Songlong hurriedly helped him up. Lu Zi's face was full of sincerity. No, sir, please accept Lu Zi's kowtow. I beg you, take me as your disciple. Good lad. Yun Sheng could not help but sigh inwardly. Lu Zi did not pick anyone but Yun Songlong. Lu Zi thought. In fact, among all the people present, only Yun Songlong met Lu Zi's standards. He was a warrior and a martial arts grandmaster. In the entire Zhou state he looked down on everyone. Yun Songlong looked at Lu Zi on the ground with a complicated gaze. He was a martial arts grandmaster. According to the Boundless Land, once a warrior reached the martial arts grandmaster realm, he could already open a martial arts dojo and take in disciples. He was a general in his early years and naturally could not take in disciples. But now that he had resigned and was already middle-aged, it was reasonable for him to find a suitable disciple to inherit his mantle. But the youth in front of him, Yun Songlong's judgment was not inferior to Yun Sheng's. He could tell at a glance that the youth's aptitude was very ordinary. It was not the best choice to take in such a person as his eldest disciple. Lu Zi guessed Yun Songlong's thoughts when he saw Yun Songlong's hesitation. Dong dong dong. He kowtowed to Yun Songlong a few times. Dong dong. Dong dong. His forehead immediately bled. Lu Zi said firmly, Lu Zi knows that I'm not talented and stupid, but I'm a hard-working person. As long as Sir is willing to take Lu Zi in, Lu Zi is willing to work 12 hours a day without sleep and rest. Lu Zi will work hard and not disgrace Sir's reputation. He did not know Yun Songlong's identity. Based on a youth's intuition, he believed that Yun Songlong was the most suitable person to be his master. He shouldered the lives of his parents and the lives of an entire village. No matter how hard Lu Zi was, he was willing to bear it. Chapter 316. Yun Sheng could vaguely see herself in that youth. When she was 6 years old, everyone thought that she couldn't cultivate magic. However, she persevered and eventually became a sorcerer. Now Yun Sheng had two great resources, the tribute of the moon god and the blood of the blood cloud beast. As long as the other party had perseverance, she was confident that she could nurture them into a sorcerer or a warrior. For example, Yun Sheng had selected a few people from the Sky Hunting Corps and used the tribute of the moon god to improve their magic perception. Second uncle, accept him. For a warrior, 30% talent and 70% hard work. He is an honest person. In terms of talent, I can help him refine his bones. Yun Sheng admired people with perseverance the most. She had decided on this young man called Lu Zi and would give him a helping hand no matter what. After receiving Yun Sheng's promise, Yun Songlong decided to accept Lu Zi as his disciple. Get up. You are still young and I need to discuss it with your parents. Yun Songlong was cautious and asked about Lu Zi's family situation. When Lu Zi heard Yun Songlong mention his parents, he fell silent. Hey kid, just say it. Don't be afraid. If you have any difficulties, just say it. With our Sky Hunting Corps around, no matter how difficult it is, we will solve it for you. Zhou Quan was anxious. They had asked about Lu Zi's background earlier, but this kid was like a gourd with its mouth cut off. He didn't say a word for a long time. You are from Jianghu village, right? Just now, the waiter in the restaurant told you about the village. Don't be afraid. If you have any problems, just say it. If there is anything, my second uncle will take care of it. Yun Sheng and Lu Zi were about the same age, so she kindly asked Lu Zi. It could be seen that Lu Zi was afraid that if he told the truth, he would implicate Yun Sheng and the others. Lu Zi looked at Yun Sheng. He didn't know why, but this young master in front of him, who was dressed luxuriously, made him feel a sense of intimacy. He bit his lip and told Yun Songlong about what had happened in his village a few days ago. Did you see the faces of those robbers again? Yun Songlong frowned when he heard that. The villagers of several villages had gone missing, and there were no blood cloud beasts in the vicinity. Yet, the guards did not conduct a thorough investigation. There was something wrong with such military discipline. I was in the cellar and didn't see the enemy's face clearly, but I know who took the villagers and my parents away. Lu Zi's words surprised everyone. Everyone who knew about the disappearance of the villagers said that the identity of the robbers was unknown and their whereabouts were unknown. But Lu Zi said that he knew the origin of the robbers? How did you know? Yun Songlong asked. This is a long story. What I'm going to say today is something that could cost me my life. I beg you, regardless of whether you can save my parents or not, you can't spread this matter. Lu Zi believed that these people in front of him were trustworthy people. After receiving everyone's encouraging gazes, he slowly unbuttoned his shirt and took out a piece of animal skin that was as thin as a piece of paper near his chest. On the animal skin, there was a map drawn with special beast blood. Lu Zi told everyone that this map was a map of a purple gold mine that was discovered in Zhou State, later Qin and Tangyuan a few years ago. This map is real. Where did you get it? There were too many versions of the map of the purple gold mine, and no one dared to believe that the map in front of them was authentic. Lu Zi was too young, and this made everyone doubt the authenticity of the map. It was left behind by my father. I'm not happy that everyone said that my father was one of the people who discovered the purple gold mine in his early years. At that time, it was him and several hunters from other villages who discovered the purple gold mine. There were a total of 8 of them. At that time, they followed a level 4 magical beast and broke into the area. A few years ago, Lu Zi was only 5 or 6 years old. What he knew was what his mother told him later. Lu Zi's father was a famous marksman in Jianghu village. When they were hunting magical beasts, they saw a few beautiful stones. At that time, no one knew that it was the priceless purple gold mine. Lu Zi's father casually brought a few pieces home for Lu Zi to play with. Later, when Lu Zi was playing, he was accidentally seen by the village chief and found out that it was the precious purple gold mine. After the discovery of the mine, he immediately reported it to Jade Capital, but at the same time the news was leaked. Later Qin, Tang Yuan, and even the military of Zhou state sent people to ask about it. Not long after, the war that shook the 3 countries happened. After the 3 countries signed the armistice agreement, they were summoned by the military and led a group of soldiers into the mountains. However, in the mountains, a group of soldiers from another country suddenly appeared. The 2 sides fought, and unexpectedly the whole group was wiped out. Even the hunters who knew about it were killed. Lu Zi's father was also seriously injured, but he was lucky. After he was injured, he faked his death and escaped the massacre. He hid in the mountains for 2 or 3 days before escaping back to his original village. After that incident, Lu Zi's father brought Lu Zi's mother and Lu Zi out of Yunban's village and lived in seclusion in Jianghu village. They lived there for 7 to 8 years. They thought that the matter of the purple gold mine would be buried forever with the tragic deaths of the hunters. Who knew that a few years later robbers would rob the village? Liu Zi, what you mean is that you suspect that those people captured the nearby villagers because of the purple gold mine. Then why did they capture the whole village and a few villages at that? Not only did Yun Xing not understand, but Yun Songlong also did not believe it. Because they needed manpower to dig the mine, and they couldn't use the military or openly recruit people in town. In the name of robbers, they captured all the villagers. This was the safest and most reliable way. Lu Zi had been hiding with his parents since he was young, so he was more sensitive than others of his age. After he crawled out of the cellar, the first thing he did was to find the map that his father had hidden in the house. He climbed mountains and waded through rivers, and found the location of the purple gold mine. He secretly hid in the area for a while, and indeed he found a large number of mysterious people moving around the purple gold mine. He also found some familiar faces among the miners who were digging. Lu Zi's whereabouts were discovered by the people patrolling the mine one day. He hurriedly escaped, but in the process of escaping he was shot in the back by the enemy, and there were many bite marks on his body from the magical beasts of the enemy. Those mysterious people were very powerful. They were heavily guarded around the mine, and there were a large number of land magical beasts and flying magical beasts patrolling the area. If they were not careful, they would be discovered by the other party. Lu Zi's eyes were not sharp, and he did not know the strength of the other party, but he was sure that there were no less than 1,000 of them. Hearing Lu Zi's words, Yun Xing and the rest could also confirm the authenticity of the map. After Yun Songlong heard this, he pondered for a moment. This matter was much more difficult than he thought. Before they set off, the hunting corps' mission was only to find the location of the purple gold mine. What do you all think about this matter? After Yun Songlong comforted Lu Zi, he found a few corps members of the Sky Expedition Hunting Corps and everyone started to discuss. Chapter 317. Although he was the leader, he had just become a hunter not long ago. He still needed to seek advice from others, especially from an experienced person like the Zong personality. They were here under the orders of the Emperor of Zhou state. Although it was a mission, it was actually an order. If they could not complete it, they would be implicated. From the perspective of a mission, they had already completed their mission. The map of the purple gold mine had been found, and it was done without losing a single soldier. It could be considered perfect. As long as they brought the map back to the Jade capital, they would be able to report back. However, if they handed it over, the consequences would be unimaginable. The Emperor of Zhou state, Yi Qingtian, would definitely order the army to snatch the purple gold mine. In that case, whether or not they could snatch the mine back was another matter. That group of mysterious bandits would definitely kill the villagers they captured in order to silence them. Yun Songlong and the rest did not want to see such an outcome. Moreover, even if they brought the news back to the Jade capital, it would take almost a month for them to come and go. By then the mine would have been emptied. This old man thinks that we should just kill our way to that mine. Whatever magical beasts or bandits, there'll be nothing in front of this old man, the Zong personality said boldly. He was a holy beast summoner, so he really didn't care about ordinary enemies. How about this, Zong personality, let your Bat Sun and Bat Sun go to the mine area to check out the situation. After confirming the number of people on the other side, we can make a decision. Yun Xing also felt that they should not hand over the map for the time being. The pressure of the dragon-clawed Bat King was too frightening. In order to avoid alerting the group of mysterious people, Yun Xing asked the Zong personality to keep the dragon-clawed Bat King in the magical beast space. The Zong personality could control some low-level bats through the Bat King. Taking advantage of the night, he released a few bats. On the morning of the second day, the bats brought back some news. After communicating with the bat for a while, the Zong personality's expression became serious. Master, things are not looking good. The Zong personality scratched his head. He originally thought that as long as he had his own magical beasts, he would not have to fear the mysterious people. However, the bats discovered that there were many lightning explosion magic arrays in the mine area. The lightning explosion magic array was no ordinary magic array. It was drawn using the lightning magic element with astonishing power. This kind of magic array was mostly used for mining in mountainous areas, and its power was enough to split mountains and split the earth. It was also used in some large-scale battles. As long as it was properly arranged and the opponent did not have any magicians present, it could be used to launch a sneak attack on the enemy on the battlefield. Furthermore, the mining area worked day and night. From the mining area, corpses were transported out one after another. There were both men and women, and there were even many corpses of children who were a few years old. Even Yun Songlong, who was used to seeing life and death on the battlefield, couldn't help but become angry after hearing the Zong personality's words. These mysterious people were too inhumane. Not only that, according to Bat's reaction, there were sorcerers, warriors, and a few summoners among the group of mysterious people. Such a well-disciplined force with a clear division of labor had obviously been carefully planned. I can only gather this much information. The bats also don't dare to enter the mining area. If they activate the lightning explosion magic array, even my Dragonclaw Bat King would be blown to pieces. The Zong personality couldn't help but rejoice. He had listened to Yun Xing's suggestion yesterday and didn't rashly send his Dragonclaw Bat King into the mining area. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Hearing Master Zong's words, not to mention us, even if the army personally went, I'm afraid it would be difficult to break in. If the other party is forced into a corner, I'm afraid they would activate the lightning explosion magic array. The villagers inside would most likely die. Yun Songlong muttered. Why don't we sneak in? Since it's difficult to break in from the outside, why don't we think of a way from the inside? Yun Xing suddenly suggested. Break in from the inside? No, that's too dangerous. Moreover, our group is too obvious a target. The people from the sky hunting group were all soldiers. Although they were now hunters, their temperament and actions were clear. It was impossible for the other party to not notice. We don't need too many people, just a few will do. Me Huangke and Lu Zi are still young. Our Do Qi and magic fluctuations aren't obvious, so we're the best candidates. Lu Zi has also been to the mine before, so he has a better understanding of the situation. Yun Xing was very curious about the lightning explosion magic array in the mine. Yun Xing had already asked Lu Zi about the details. The plundering of the villagers had happened in the past half a month. According to the map of the mine, the purple gold mine spanned about 1 li and was several meters deep. The other party definitely wanted to plunder enough people and finish excavating the mine before Zhou State or other countries discovered it. From the casualties in the mine, there were people dying every day. Those mysterious people were bound to plunder the villagers again. The villages near southern Cliff Town, especially the 2 villages close to Jianghu village, were the most likely targets. It's too dangerous. The other party has more than 1,000 people, and there's no lack of powerful magicians and warriors among them. Yun Songlong was very unwilling to let Yun Xing become a suspect. He would rather sneak in himself. However, Yun Xing's words weren't without reason. There really weren't any more suitable candidates around. His elder brother's life was uncertain, so he had the obligation to take good care of Xing. Second uncle, if we don't act quickly, the 1,000 or so villagers who have been robbed will definitely die. Moreover, I'm a famous doctor. If I sneak in, I can minimize the casualties to the greatest extent. Even if we can't save the villagers, we can buy some time for you to come up with a more reliable solution. Yun Sheng also didn't take a step back. Yun Songlong's heart was heavy at the thought of more than 1,000 villagers dying. Not good, General. Just as Yun Songlong was hesitating, Zhou Quan walked in. Last night, another village's villagers disappeared. There were more than 200 people in the village and not a single one was left. Second uncle, we can't let the tragedy of the Yun army happen again. Yun Sheng's words were like a sharp arrow that pierced Yun Songlong's heart. He finally made up his mind. Sheng, but you have to promise second uncle that you can't blindly stick your head out. You have to inform second uncle about everything first. Knowing that Yun Sheng and the rest were willing to infiltrate the mine, Lu Zi was both happy and worried. However, in the end he couldn't overcome his worry for his parents and the villagers. That night Yun Sheng and Huang Ke arrived at a village called Zhou Village near Jianghu Village. The hunters of the Heaven Extermination Hunting Corps were lying in ambush near Zhou Village, carefully monitoring it. In order to keep it a secret, Yun Sheng only told the news to the village chief of Zhou Village. The old village chief was still skeptical at first, but when he heard that the hunting corps that Yun Sheng belonged to was the Yun army, the old village chief immediately dispelled his suspicions. Although Yun Songlong was defeated that year, he fought to the last moment in order to protect the villagers at the border. The kindness of the Yun army and the general's estate was deeply engraved in the hearts of the people at the border. The three of them changed into the village's youth's attire. In order to make things easier, Yun Sheng was still dressed as a youth and Ke also changed into men's attire. The three of them waited patiently in the village. Thank you Bayu and Nai Shang for your tips. Regarding updates, I'm not like some writers who work full-time. I work 6 days a week and only write at night. With the godly doctor's pitiful data, I'm not going to work full-time. Normally, I'll write a steady update to recommend explosive updates. Chapter 318. Even after 5 days, Zhou Village was still peaceful. Just as Yun Sheng was about to lose her patience, that night, Yun Sheng and Huang Ke turned off the lights and rested as usual, while Yun Sheng sat on the Kong bed to meditate. Just after midnight, a bright light flashed in the sky above the village. Yun Sheng opened her eyes and immediately woke Huang Ke and Lu Zi up. In the village there were cries and barks. Catch everyone inside. Amidst a furious roar, the door of the house where the three of them were in was broken open. Yun Sheng, Huang Ke, and Lu Zi pretended to be trembling in fear. They hid in the house, not daring to move. Several wind hounds that were almost a meter tall rushed in. Wind hounds were a hybrid magical beast, a mix of wind wolves and wolfhounds. They were the size of calves and had a pair of black wings on their backs. It was obvious that these wind hounds had undergone special training. They were all wearing collars with sharp barbs around their necks. A few mysterious people wearing half-masks rushed in. One of them glanced into the house. In the simple house there were only 3 terrified youths. 3 kids who are so thin that they can't even fill the gaps between my teeth. What kind of lousy village is this? There aren't many people here. Zhou Village was considered a medium-sized village nearby, with more than 500 permanent residents. However, ever since the disappearance of the entire village, the villagers who had a little bit of money in the village had all moved to the town. There were only about 200 villagers left in Zhou Village. Most of them were old, weak, sick and disabled people who could not leave Zhou Village due to their poor families or their weak bodies. These mysterious people who went out to kidnap people were also rewarded based on their contributions. The stronger the villagers were, the longer they could mine. The villagers of Zhou Village were all weak and sickly. If they were brought back, not only would they not be rewarded, they might even be punished by the officers. Yun Sheng pretended to be sobbing, but she was secretly sizing up the mysterious bandits. They were very tall, all of them at least 1.75 meters, and judging from their walking pace and muscles, it was obvious that they had undergone professional training. These people were either soldiers or hunters. But one thing was for sure, these people were not from the Great Zhou dynasty. Don't talk so much nonsense. If they're human, then take them back. If they can't hold on and die, then throw them all outside to feed the Fengao dogs. We don't have much food left. One of them looked like the leader of the unknowns. He glared at his talkative subordinate and made a gesture. Several mysterious people on the side grabbed Yun Sheng and the other 2, who couldn't even speak, and carried them out of the house. After catching the man, they set the house on fire. In the village, thick black smoke billowed everywhere. The villagers were all gathered at the entrance of the village. No one was allowed to open their mouths or beg for mercy. Among them were a few women and children carrying babies. In order to prevent the news from leaking out, no one was left alive in the village. The animals in the village were all treated as rations and chased to one place. Wawa, a frightened child, began to cry. The woman holding her was so scared that she hurriedly coaxed her, but the child refused to stop crying. The leader of the unknowns glanced over with cold eyes, and a Fengao dog with saliva dripping from its mouth pounced over. "Let go of my child." Seeing the Fengao dog pouncing on her baby, the woman struggled crazily. She was just an ordinary woman. How could she be a match for a rank 5 windhound? After a terrible swallowing sound, the baby's crying stopped. Yun Xing saw this and clenched her hands tightly, her nails piercing into her palms. She couldn't make a move. The anger in her heart was like a stormy sea, making it difficult for Yun Xing to calm down. If she made a move at this time, their plan would be ruined. More than 1,000 lives in the purple gold mine. Yun Xing took a few deep breaths, and her hand firmly grasped the Oriole's hand. Tonight, this cruel scene was deeply engraved in their minds. 2 adults to a ride, 3 children to a ride, take away all the animals. The leader was indifferent to the death of the baby. After he confirmed that there were no more living people in the village, he commanded his subordinates to chase everyone onto the Fengao dog. In just half an hour, Zhou village turned into a sea of fire. Yun Xing, Oriole and Lu Zi sat on the back of a Fengao dog. The Fengao dog quickly rose into the air and soon Zhou village was left behind. It was the first time Oriole and Lu Zi came into contact with flying magical beasts, and they were so scared that they looked nervous. Those mysterious people, after leaving the ground, also let down their guard. In their eyes, these captured villagers were all ordinary people, and when they were in the air, they weren't afraid that they would cause trouble. Don't be afraid, these are trained magical beasts, just treated as riding horses. Seeing that the mysterious people had let down their guard, Yun Xing quietly placed her palm on the head of the Fengao dog under her. A subtle magic power went deep into the head of the Fengao dog, and a trace of fear flashed in the eyes of the Fengao dog, which was then replaced by confusion, and after a while the confusion turned into docility. The Fengao dog's flying ability was more powerful than that of an ordinary eagle, and with its huge body, it was most suitable for transporting people and animals. Yun Xing observed the Southern Cross in the south of the sky, and silently calculated the flight time. After flying for about 2 hours, the night gradually dispersed, and when the red clouds of dawn appeared, the mysterious people and the Fengao dogs landed on an inconspicuous mountain ridge with their prey. This mountain ridge was no different from the mountain ridge that Yun Xing and the rest had passed by when they came. However, if one took a closer look, they would discover that this seemingly lush forest, which was full of life, revealed traces of murderous intent. Between the leaves and the rocks, there was a large number of arrows with amazing attack power, as well as some rocket arrays that emitted fire magical elements. As long as there was an intruder, the ambush of arrows and the rocket arrays would be activated in an instant, and the intruder would be shot into a hornet's nest. There were dense tropical trees and flowers all around, and the Fengao dogs under them landed steadily on the ground. Those mysterious people immediately took out some magical beast meat and fed it to the Fengao dogs. After Yun Xing and the other 2 got off the Fengao dogs, they found that they were already in the mining area. Yun Xing also finally saw the thunder explosion magic array that was reported by the Bat of the Zone personality earlier. It was a magic array that was branded with a purplish-red mark. The magic array was closed during the day, but when it was nighttime the magic array would be activated. As long as someone accidentally stepped on the magic array, they would be blasted into ashes by the thunder attribute magic that would spurt out. Its power was not inferior to that of modern landmines and bombs. Chapter 319. The mining area was surrounded by iron fences. Mysterious masked men were either holding magic scepters or armed with weapons, shouting and cursing. Under the morning light, groups of bare-chested strong men walked past Yun Xing and the others. They were bound with iron chains and carried dozens of kilograms of purple gold ore on their backs. The iron chains and heavy ore crushed their backs into a bloody mess. However, none of them dared to stop and just walked back and forth like machines. Divide the villagers into 2 groups according to their gender. Bring the old, the young, and those who are unable to work to the livestock shed. Bring the rest to the cave. The mysterious men who brought Yun Sheng and the others back spoke. They separated the villagers who were captured. Those who were able to work were locked up in the cave and given a certain amount of water and food. They were used to replace the miners who were working hard at any time. The rest of the villagers who were unable to work were directly driven to the livestock shed and locked up together with the livestock they had captured. They would be used as food for the magical beasts in the future. During the time when they were locked up in groups, Yun Sheng witnessed several carts of corpses being pushed out on carts. There were both men and women among them, and the youngest among them was only 8 or 9 years old. Some of them had their hands smashed by the ore, and some were beaten to death because they resisted or tried to escape. This mine looked lush and leafy from the outside, but in fact, it was a purgatory on earth. When Lu Zi saw this scene, he bit his lips tightly. He did not know if his parents were still alive. No matter if they were locked up in the cave or sent to the livestock shed, they could not escape death in the end. Yun Sheng believed that even if there were villagers who were lucky enough to survive in such a harsh environment, once the mine was dug out, these mysterious men would definitely kill all the villagers who survived in order to hide their evil deeds. Damn it, these people were simply devoid of humanity. Seeing the tragic scene, the dark Dharma soul in Yun Sheng's body seemed to have smelled the scent of blood and became active. For the first time, Yun Sheng's heart surged with such a strong murderous intent. She wanted to kill these beasts in front of her. When she realized this, Yun Sheng couldn't help but be shocked. She had always had excellent self-control, but she discovered that as she delved deeper into dark magic, her murderous heart seemed to have become much heavier. A red light appeared in her eyes. Although Yun Sheng and the other two were not very old and were not very tall, their bodies were still very sturdy. Thus, they were quickly selected and rushed to the group of people in the cave. The three of you, what are you looking around for? Immediately change your clothes, put on the shackles and follow the formation. Yun Sheng lowered her eyes when she heard the mysterious man's command, concealing the murderous intent in her eyes. She slowly circulated the jade marrow technique in her body. As the jade marrow technique circulated in her body, Yun Sheng felt her killing intent gradually calming down. Her eyes also regained their clarity. Impulse is the devil. No matter the situation, I can't let the killing intent control my heart. Yun Sheng secretly warned herself. The three of them changed into mining uniforms made of coarse hemp, and their feet were also shackled with 5 kilograms of weight. The three of them were pushed into a long and narrow cave by the mysterious men. At the entrance of the cave, there were 5 or 6 mysterious men guarding it. There were also more than 10 level 6 fire lizards. The security was very tight. The cave was very dark, damp, and moss grew everywhere. On the walls of the cave, there were only a few magic lamps, dimly illuminating the path ahead. This group of mysterious men came suddenly. They hurriedly dug these caves. The conditions here were simple and the cave was very deep. As Yun Sheng walked in, she smelled a rotten and moldy smell. Liuzi, when we go in later, first look around and see if there are any people from Jianghu village. Ask them about the specific situation here. Yun Sheng glanced at a corner of the cave, where a few bats were resting. Liuzi nodded. At this moment, his heart was heavier than his shackled feet. He was afraid that after entering the cave, he would hear bad news about his parents. Liuzi, be strong. Oriol, who was also from a poor family, comforted Liuzi in a low voice. He nodded. Liuzi already knew that Yun Sheng and Oriol were both girls, and that he was the oldest of the three. Before they set off, Yun Songlong had encouraged him. As the only boy among the three, he must protect Yun Sheng and Oriol. The cave was very long. As they walked down, Yun Sheng's frown deepened. The living environment of the miners was too bad. There was almost no ventilation here. If all the villagers who survived were imprisoned in the cave, it must be very crowded. In a situation where the air was turbid and the population density was high, once there was a disease or death, the airborne germs were enough to make the healthy villagers collapse. Finally, there were voices in front of them. The front of the cave gradually widened. At the bottom was a space about 100 square meters in size. There were 300 to 400 people imprisoned here. Among them were men and women. Those who did not need to enter the mining area during the day could temporarily remove the shackles. Once they left the cave, they had to put on the shackles to prevent them from escaping. You newcomers, listen carefully. Don't even think about escaping or you will end up like these people. The mysterious people who drove them in waved a whip full of thorns in their hands and slammed it hard on the ground. The hard ground was immediately smashed into pieces. The stone debris flew up and hit the people's bodies, causing burning pain. Their whips were pointed at the wall of the cave. Everyone looked up. Some of the more timid ones were scared to tears on the spot. On the wall there were several dead bodies hanging. There was a trace of intact bone in these people's bodies. Their faces were beyond recognition. The men were stripped naked and the women were also bare-chested. The blood on their bodies had dried, leaving only wrinkled skin. They were barely recognizable as human figures. These people were all people who had tried to escape in the past when the guards weren't paying attention and when they were mining. None of them succeeded. After they were captured alive, they ended up like this. Even so, there were still many people who tried to escape every day. After a few warnings, the mysterious people left the cave. Lu Zi resisted the waves of nausea in his throat. He hurriedly looked for his parents in the crowd. Although the chances were small, Lu Zi still hoped that he could find his parents. Most of the villagers who were imprisoned in the cave were thin and sallow, and their lips were dry and cracked. Their eyes were empty. When they saw the newcomers, they did not make any sound. For them, escaping had become an extravagant hope. Their loved ones died one by one, completely destroying their hope. They were probably just walking corpses. Lu Zi looked around the crowd and found a few people from Jianghu village. However, no matter how he asked, they did not speak. He was worried that his parents had met with misfortune. Lu Zi, don't ask any more. Yun Sheng saw that Lu Zi was on the verge of breaking down. She dragged him aside and gave him a few mouthfuls of water. Only then did Lu Zi calm down. At this time there was a sound of footsteps outside. Yun Sheng and the others looked up. 30 to 40 bare-chested and barefoot miners walked in. They all looked tired. These people were the miners who had finished their mining task today. After they returned to the cave, another group of people was driven out. Father. Lu Zi recognized one of the men. He immediately jumped up and rushed over. Chapter 320. When he heard the familiar voice, a middle-aged man who looked very strong among the dozens of miners raised his head and looked at Yun Sheng and the others blankly. When he saw Lu Zi's face, the man's eyes suddenly widened. That man was Lu Zi's father, who was forcibly taken to the cave more than 10 days ago. The father and son did not expect to meet again in such an environment. The two of them hugged each other excitedly. Lu Zi, it's really you? Why are you here? Why are you so disobedient? Didn't I tell you to stay far away? What are you doing here? Lu Zi's father saw his son and was both sad and happy. He was happy that his son was safe and sound. During this period of time, he had seen countless people from the neighboring villages being captured and brought here. He was also worried about Lu Zi's safety outside. But when they finally had news of their son, he had barged into the tiger's den. Everyone knew that there was no chance of survival after entering this hellish cave. Yun Sheng noticed that Lu Zi's father was the most energetic among these miners. It seemed that he only looked a little tired, and his spirit was very good. This was probably because he had experienced life and death in his early years, so his willpower was much stronger than that of ordinary people. Father, let's not talk about this first. Where's mother? Lu Zi did not see his mother's figure and was terrified. Don't worry, your mother is fine. A few days after we were locked in here, those villains picked a few nimble women in the cave and said that they would cook for them and wash their clothes. Lu Zi's mother was lucky to be chosen and escaped the disaster. After hearing Lu Zi's story, Lu Zi's father calmed down. Especially when he heard that Yun Sheng and the others were the descendants of the Yun army, his originally dim eyes were filled with a desire to live. They are the descendants of the Yun army. Really? Lu Zi's father said with a friendly look. He stayed in the cave for more than 10 days. Because he was strong and did not escape, the group of mysterious people treated him well. They made him the person who distributed food and water in the cave. Although Lu Zi's father appeared to be yielding, he had never given up observing the activities of these mysterious people. This cave held all the villagers who had been abducted. A large number of people had already entered and exited the cave. At its peak there were 500 to 600 people. There was only one entrance to the cave. Since there were people guarding the other side of the cave day and night, the mysterious people would guard the cave in batches. There were also ferocious fire lizards patrolling the area. There were some villagers who tried to escape, but they were all caught without exception. Most of the villagers who were caught would be beaten to death. Lu Zi's father had thought of running away earlier, but when he remembered that Lu Zi's mother was still in the hands of those people, he gritted his teeth and persevered. At the same time, Lu Zi's father also mentioned some matters regarding the purple gold mining area. It was unknown where these mysterious people had gotten the map of the mine. They had captured the villagers to mine the mine. Within this purple gold mining area, there was a large amount of purple gold ore. Every day, about 500 kilograms of purple gold ore would be transported out by flying magical beasts. However, Luzi's father didn't know where it would be shipped to. "Father, who are those people?" Luzi asked. "I don't know, but their leader seems to live in a treehouse not far away. Judging from his accent, he doesn't seem to be from Zhou State." Luzi's father shook his head. He went out to mine every day to get some fresh air, and this was all he could find out. With Luzi's father's detailed description, Yunxing roughly outlined the situation of the entire mining area in her mind. The periphery of the mining area was a dense tropical forest area. The mining area was divided into 4 areas: east, west, north, and south. The main mining area of the purple gold vein was in the east. The villagers who were imprisoned in the cave were in the west, and the other soldiers and livestock were in the south. As for the leader of the mysterious people and some powerful magicians, warriors, and summoners, they all lived in the north. In the middle of these 4 areas, there were more than a dozen thunder explosion arrays. Without personally exploring the environment, it was impractical to escape. Yunxing decided to stay in the mining area for a few days. It would be best if there was a chance to go to the location of the purple gold vein, and then think of a way to escape with the villagers. While they were talking, Yunxing heard a painful groan. A middle-aged miner who came back with Luzi's father earlier fell to the ground. His face was full of sweat and his stomach was throbbing with pain. "What's the matter?" Yunxing immediately went forward to check. "It's an old problem. The environment here is too bad. Everyone often has stomach pains and diarrhea. It's fine for us who are stronger, but the young and the women can't stand it." Luzi's father sighed. While Yunxing listened to Luzi's father describe the situation in the mining area, she also paid attention to other things in the cave. Just as she found when she entered the cave earlier, the environment here was very bad. Those mysterious people did not treat these villagers as humans at all. Yunxing checked the drinking water and food of hundreds of villagers every day. The water was turbid yellow muddy water that had not been purified and precipitated at all. There was also a severe shortage of food, and most of it was rancid food. Under such conditions, they still had to mine at a high rate, which undoubtedly greatly increased the mortality rate of the villagers. "Uncle, I'm a doctor. I'll help him stop the pain first. Find a few villagers. I have a few things that I need your help with." Yunxing rolled up her sleeves. Luzi's father looked at Yunxing suspiciously. The Oriole at the side chimed in, "It's true. Our master is very powerful. She's a famous divine doctor in the Jade capital." Luzi also said that Yunxing had cured his injuries. Luzi's father then hurriedly found a few men from the same village. They followed Yunxing's instructions and divided the people in the cave into 2 types, the sick and the healthy. The sick were arranged to be in the cave, while the healthy were arranged to be on the outside of the cave, near the ventilation area. The villagers also found some sand and charcoal. According to Yunxing's instructions, they used the sand and charcoal to purify and precipitate their drinking water. Before Yunxing came, she had made a thorough plan. She prepared some herbs, a small amount of food, and some magic beast meat in her storage ring. The herbs and food were given to the sick patients first, while the magic beast meat was divided into portions and distributed to the healthy villagers. These villagers had been half full and half hungry for a long time. When they saw the food, their originally dim eyes instantly lit up. They ignored Luzi's father's arrangement and all rushed forward, trying to snatch the food from Yunxing and the others. "Oriole." Yunxing was already prepared. The Oriole did not hesitate and knocked down the few villagers at the front. Yunxing pointed the magic scepter at the wall and shot a fireball. The fireball burned a corpse hanging on the wall into ashes instantly. Yunxing's face was tense. Their actions silenced the noisy villagers. Chapter 321. Everyone listen carefully. From now on, all of us have to be of one mind. If you are willing to cooperate, I can guarantee that you will be brought out alive to reunite with your families. But if you dare to be disloyal and disobey my orders, I can guarantee that you will die an even uglier death than these corpses. Yunxing was not very old, but at this moment, her body was emitting a terrifying aura that intimidated people. To the ignorant and useless villagers, a leader with absolute authority was very important. Yunxing's actions made every villager present feel fear from the depths of their souls. But along with this fear came a desire to survive. Yunxing's magic and her every word was like a shower of rain, gradually giving hope to these spiritually exhausted villagers. No one dared to make a sound. They followed Lu Zi's father's instructions and lined up, supporting their families, wives and friends to receive medicinal herbs and food. In just one night, the order in the cave had undergone a subtle change. And this change was completely unknown to the mysterious people outside the cave. The sun rose and set not long after Yun Sheng and the others were taken to the mining area. Commander, the people from Zhou village have not been taken away. The people we sent to spy on them followed orders and did not alert the enemy. The other party is a group of masked people and we can't tell where they came from. They have a large number of flying magical beasts and they are flying towards the south of Southern Cliff Town, near Tangyuan. The night Yun Sheng and the others were taken away, the hunters of the Heaven Expedition Hunting Corps who were lying in ambush near Zhou village immediately sent the news back to the inn in Southern Cliff Town. Yun Songlong and the others had been anxiously waiting there for a few days. My bats have also followed those magical beasts to the mining area. With Master's intelligence, there shouldn't be any big problems. But Yun Brat, what should we do? For safety reasons, Yun Sheng ordered the clan members not to follow them. He was several generations older than Yun Songlong and called him Yun Brat. Yun Songlong didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I plan to go to Marquis Jiyuan's garrison to take a look. After all, we don't have enough manpower. If we can get the military's help, I believe the chances of rescuing the villagers will be much higher. Yun Songlong was still placing his hopes on the local garrison. He immediately headed to the Marquis of Jiyuan's encampment, but he didn't expect that the other party would give him the cold shoulder. I want to see your general. I am Yun Songlong. I was your general's aide in the early years. Yun Songlong reiterated his identity. The two monkey-like guards glanced at Yun Songlong. One of them rolled his eyes and spat out a mouthful of phlegm. Yun Songlong? Reckless brat, you want to pretend to be the #1 general of Zhou State, the young general of the residents of Yun? Take a piss and look at yourself. If you are Yun Songlong, then I am Zhou State's Marshal Saint Yun Ba. Yun Songlong's blood immediately rushed to his head. If it weren't for the fact that he had already left the army, he definitely would have dealt with this guard according to military law. He forcefully suppressed the anger in his heart. Brother, whether you believe me or not, I really do have something to report to your general. It's about the missing villagers from the nearby villages. When the two guards heard this, their eyes were filled with bewilderment. One of them said, "Wait here for a moment. I will go inside and report to the general." The guard hurriedly entered the garrison's encampment. "General, there is someone outside requesting an audience. This person says he is Yun Songlong. He says he has clues about the missing villagers from the nearby villages." Yun Songlong? What a joke. Yun Songlong is but a cripple. Why would he come to our Southern Cliff Town? He must be a swindler or a spy from an enemy country who wants to infiltrate our army. Men, listen to my orders. Beat that bandit out with military canes. Inside the luxuriously decorated main general's tent, Marquis Jiyuan's nephew, Irony, waved his hand disdainfully. That guard hurriedly lowered his head and accepted the order. "General, you just sent Yun Songlong out like this. Aren't you afraid that he will barge in?" Inside the main general's tent sat a man and woman. The man and woman were dressed exquisitely and had imposing appearances. Upon closer inspection, these two were the siblings of Grand Emperor City, Shen Wuji and Shen Mimi. "I've let the two of you see a joke. Who does Yun Songlong think he is? He is but a martial artist who has been stripped of his official position. If he dares to block our path to wealth, I will definitely make him regret ever stepping foot on the land of the border." And Irony's eyes flashed with a greedy light as he spoke. In front of him, there were two large pieces of resplendent purple or that looked like crystals. Each of the ores weighed 50 caddies. If they were forged into limitless purple gold coins, the value would most likely not be less than 100,000. And Irony was but a fourth-rank general. Even with his uncle, the Marquis of Jiyuan, looking after him, the annual military pay that was docked did not exceed 10,000 gold coins. How could it compare to the rewards that Grand Emperor City and that mysterious group of people gave him? And Irony was naturally happy to be able to exchange a few poor villagers for such a large sum of wealth. "Don't worry, the two of you. I will definitely think of a way to cover up the disappearance of the villagers. However, you need to act quickly. Otherwise, if it attracts the covetous eyes of other powers, it will be impossible to hide it." And Irony chuckled. "General is really sensible. If the mining of the purple gold vein is successful this time, Grand Emperor City and His Majesty will definitely not treat you unfairly. Xian Wuji despised an irony's character in his heart, but on the surface he was full of flattery. The siblings looked at each other, a cruel glint flashing in their eyes. Ever since Yun Sheng and the others came to the cave, the villagers' lives had quietly changed. That group of mysterious people would enter the cave in 3 batches every day to escort the miners to mine the purple gold vein. Father Lu secretly arranged for the miners to go out and mine according to Yun Sheng's arrangements. Yun Sheng stayed in the cave for a few days. Due to the timely purification and isolation of the patients, no one died of illness in the cave in the past few days. The number of people who fell ill again was also greatly reduced. Under the coordination of Father Lu, the people who went to the mining area were all strong and healthy people. As a result, the number of people mining increased every day. Those mysterious people were also very happy. The water and food that was distributed to the cave every day was also better than before. Although the mysterious people did not know what had happened, they were obviously very satisfied with such an improvement. On this day, Yun Sheng was thinking about how to enter the purple gold vein and see the situation there. The few of you follow me out. It's your turn to mine. A few mysterious people walked in and picked out 20 people from the cave. Big brother, can we go to the mining area? He's my uncle and he's not in good health recently. While the mysterious people were picking people, Yun Sheng, Huang Ke, and the others secretly exchanged glances and took the initiative to step forward. Thanks to Sunny and Xiaohei for the tips. Chapter 322. You guys are so skinny. Can you do it? Today's task is not easy. The mysterious men glanced at Yun Sheng and the others. Seeing that they were just teenagers, they could not help but frown. Masters, these children are not young anymore. Their families do farm work, so they are quite strong. But for the brothers who are sick, even if they go to the mining area, they will only delay the progress. It will not be good if they cause you to be scolded. Lu Zi's father had already figured out the temperament of these mysterious men, so he stepped forward to help them. Are they from the same village as you? Well, later you will keep an eye on them. Don't think of doing anything wrong. Otherwise, cut off their legs. The mysterious men did not recognize Yun Sheng and the others, but they were somewhat familiar with Lu Zi's father. Hearing what he said, they reluctantly agreed with Lu Zi's father. But when they saw that Yun Sheng and the other 2 were so skinny, they left the shortest aureole behind. Then they picked up 20 people, including Lu Zi's father, and took them out together. As soon as they left the cave, they were shackled and chained. In this way, it was much more difficult to escape. Since Yun Sheng was brought back to the mining area, it was the first time that she left the cave. As soon as she got out of the cave, the dazzling sunlight made her squint her eyes. Don't look around. Go east. Remember, your task today is to dig up 50 kilograms of purple gold ore. If the amount is not enough, each of you will be whipped 10 times. The mysterious men who supervised them wore masks. Their eyes exposed outside the masks were fierce. They waved the whips in their hands and warned everyone. All the way to the east of the mining area, Yun Sheng saw a tunnel. The entrance of the tunnel was very high, more than 10 meters high. It went deep into the ground. This must be the entrance of the mining area. The earlier group of miners was coming out of the entrance. 2 mysterious men were responsible for searching their bodies. What is this? With a fierce shout, a shivering miner was grabbed by the neck by a mysterious man like a chicken. From the miner's pants, a purple ore as thick as a finger rolled out. Yun Sheng looked carefully. The ore looked very similar to purple crystal, but it was completely different from purple crystal. This purple ore was mixed with gold. Under the sunlight, the purple and gold colors were very beautiful. That was the most precious ore on the boundless continent, the purple gold Oregon. The most expensive purple gold coin in circulation in the boundless world was the purple gold card, which was made from precious purple gold ore. The purple gold ore's uses were not limited to that. Legend had it that a brilliant blacksmith could refine the purple gold ore into top-grade defensive equipment. However, the amount of purple gold ore in the entire continent was very limited. Therefore, as long as there was a clue to the empire's purple gold ore, all the major countries would frantically send people to search for it. The capital of Zhou State was no exception. A piece of purple gold or the thickness of a finger was equivalent to 5 purple gold coins, which was equivalent to 50 gold coins. To most of the villagers who worked in the mining area, this was a huge fortune that they would never be able to obtain in their lifetime. It was also to prevent the villagers from hiding anything, so no matter if they entered or left the cave, all the villagers would be searched. Yun Sheng had also expected this, so she had already hidden her storage ring in a secret place in the cave. That villager who was caught was also greedy, which was why he hid the ore. After he was discovered, he was so scared that he trembled and kept begging for mercy. "Sir, I won't dare to do it again. I was just muddle-headed for a moment." Muddle-headed? Ah, what a muddle-headed person. A cold light flashed in the hands of the mysterious person who found the ore, and he chopped off one of the villager's fingers. That villager was rolling on the ground in pain. When the other villagers saw this, they were so scared that their faces turned pale. No one dared to go forward to help him. "If it wasn't for the lack of manpower in the mining area, I would have cut off your head and fed it to the magical beasts." Kicking that villager away, the mysterious person waved his hand and motioned for Yun Sheng and the rest to enter. Yun Sheng calmly walked over. When Yun Sheng walked in with shackles on her legs, one of the mysterious people's eyes flashed under the mask and showed some surprise. Why was she here? After Yun Sheng and the rest entered the cave, the leader of the mysterious people ordered the rest of the mysterious people to patrol the area and pay attention to the situation. "Biming, I'm not seeing things right? Wasn't that the little miracle doctor just now?" A tall mysterious person whispered in another person's ear. Although Yun Sheng was dressed as a man, she was still recognized at a glance. She was fine in Southern Cliff Town. What did she come here for? She's really messing around. The man's voice was low and there was some dissatisfaction in his eyes. This little wildcat was really worrisome. She didn't know what method Yi Biming used, but his gray eyes now looked dark brown. Cheng Bai's skin was also dyed a beeswax color. They were wearing masks and their appearance was similar to the other mysterious people in the mining area. If she didn't look carefully, Yun Sheng wouldn't be able to tell. In a place like the mining area, there were all kinds of people. She actually dared to come here alone. Where did Yun Songlong go? And that Zhong Yi? Then what should we do? Are we still going to continue with our plan? The tall and straight mysterious men were Yi Biming and Cheng Bai in disguise. A few days ago, Yi Biming, Cheng Bai, and Bu Jiuxiao had all mixed into this group of mysterious people. This mining area was also the purpose of their trip. Act according to the plan. I know what to do about the little wildcat. Jiuxiao has already found out the origins of these mysterious people. They are most likely related to Tang Yuan. This time we'll catch a turtle in a jar. Yi Biming's eyes turned cold. He was determined to get this batch of purple gold ore. How could he allow other countries to get a share of it? Yun Sheng didn't know that she and Yi Biming had boarded a pirate ship. She dragged the heavy shackles and entered the mine. As soon as she entered the mine, she was attracted by the scenery in front of her. Purple gold was indeed worthy of the title of the most beautiful ore on the continent. Whether it was day or night, the mine flickered with a beautiful light like the tail light of a firefly. Purple and gold mixed together to illuminate people's eyes, like a two-colored rainbow. It had to be said that this was an excellent mining area. In the whole mining area, about 4/5 of the area was purple gold ore, and the remaining 1/5 was rough basalt. This was a pure natural mining area. A large amount of purple gold ore was exposed to the ground. The hexagonal crystals of different sizes were of different sizes. Some were only the size of a coin, while others were like pillars that supported the sky, rising from the ground. They grew from the stones on the ground like towering trees full of vitality. They rose from the sky and reached the top of the cave dozens of meters away. These precious ores also emitted a kind of gauze-like purple mist that lingered above the mine, making the whole mine more beautiful. Every villager who had just entered the mine would be attracted by this strange scene. Don't be dumbfounded. This wealth doesn't belong to us. We can't have evil thoughts. Yun Sheng and Lu Zi's dumbfounded expressions made Lu Zi's father shake his head. Most of the villagers who had just entered the mine would show such expressions. But after a day, if they couldn't dig up enough ores, what awaited them was the most cruel whipping. After being reminded by Lu Zi's father, Yun Sheng put away her curiosity. Chapter 323. She looked at the mine again. Due to the limited space, dozens of miners were scattered in every corner of the mine. Each of them was given a shovel, a bundle of ropes, and a few bamboo baskets. Although the purple gold ore was beautiful, it was also one of the most difficult ores to collect on the mainland. Unlike ordinary ores, before the purple gold ore was mined, it could not be bombarded with magic, nor could it be excavated by brute force. Otherwise the whole cave would collapse. It could only be collected by physical means, which was the common sense of manual work. Therefore, even though this group of mysterious people had many mages and warriors, they still chose to capture villagers to collect. Yun Sheng and Lu Zi listened and began to collect the purple gold ore. These stones are really hard. Lu Zi waved the shovel. He used a lot of strength to dig out a little bit of the purple gold ore. Although Lu Zi was older than Yun Sheng, he had never really learned martial arts. On the other hand, Yun Sheng had trained in Wushuan Wuji school for a while and her strength had improved. However, she soon found that it was very difficult to excavate the purple gold ore with brute force. Hour later, Yun Sheng had only excavated about 5 caddies of purple gold ore. Lu Zi was even worse, only about 2 caddies. At this rate, it was unlikely that the two of them would be able to collect 50 caddies of purple gold ore before nightfall. Looking at the other villagers, Lu Zi's father was the one who had excavated the most, about 20 caddies. The other villagers also had about 10 caddies. Due to the large amount of mining some time ago, the ores in sight were almost all collected by the villagers. As for the few pieces of ores that were like pillars supporting the sky, Yun Sheng and Lu Zi could not move them at all. Lu Zi, let's go to the north and take a look. Yun Sheng pointed to a corner in front of them. The purple gold ore mine was temporarily excavated and extended in all directions. The place where Yun Sheng and the others were staying now had the densest distribution of ores, but most of them were almost completely excavated. Don't go too far. If there are not enough ores later, I will share some with you. Lu Zi's father reminded them and buried himself in mining again. Yun Sheng and Lu Zi walked to the other end of the mine, which was much more concealed than before. After turning a few corners, Yun Sheng soon saw a diamond-shaped purple gold ore area. Liu Zi, keep an eye on the surroundings. Yun Sheng had Liu Zi keep watch while she stealthily summoned a phantom beast from the Linglong Beast Tower. Vice Commander, what is this? Seeing this unassuming and ugly beast, Lu Zi was a little surprised. He glanced at Yun Sheng and wondered where she had conjured this magic beast from. It's a type of magical beast. Our speed of collecting purple gold ore is not as fast as the other villagers, and we can't use magic. I want to try using this little guy. When Yun Sheng had killed the leader of the Shadow Beast Corps, she had obtained a few magical beast belts and a few phantom beasts as an additional reward. This phantom beast was much better at digging than most earth-type magicians. It was an improved version of a pangolin. You mean this thing can mine purple gold ore? Lu Zi was still in disbelief. You will know when you see it. If today's experiment was successful, it would not be as simple as mining purple gold ore. Yun Sheng's Linglong Beast Tower was known as one of the most mysterious treasures in the Boundless Land. Any magical beast that stayed in the Linglong Beast Tower for a while would either evolve or mutate. Xiaohei and the Puffed Egg were both evolving. This phantom beast did not evolve directly due to its ordinary grade. However, there was a certain mutation in its body. Its shell, which was originally incomparably hard and rock-like, now seemed to be plated with a layer of gold and had mutated into a golden color. It looked like an enlarged version of a scarab. Yun Sheng simply called it the Fantasy Gold Beast. 5 sharp and narrow golden claws grew out of its hands and feet. The golden fantasy beast put its claws together to form a natural shovel. It aimed at a piece of purple gold ore that was half buried in the ground and dug hard with its claws. A cloud of dust rose, and a pile of rock chips quickly piled up beside the purple gold ore that was originally difficult to excavate. A piece of purple gold ore that could be said to be perfect was completely dug out in 15 minutes. That's amazing. This piece of purple gold ore is at least more than 5 kilograms. Lu Zi's eyes were shining. If not for the golden fantasy beast's ferocious appearance, Lu Zi might have kissed it a few times. It could be expected that with a few more golden fantasy beasts, this extremely rich purple gold ore vein could be excavated quickly in a short period of time. You keep watch here first. I'll look around. Yun Sheng was very curious about the origin of this purple gold ore vein. Her 5 senses were very sharp. As long as someone was within a mile of her, she could quickly detect it. When she entered the purple gold ore mine, Yun Sheng vaguely felt a strong energy. The reason why she chose to walk north of the mine was that she could vaguely feel that the deeper she went into the mine, the stronger the energy fluctuation became. However, neither the mysterious person nor the villagers focused on mining in this area. The reason was that the amount of purple gold ore in this area was greatly reduced compared to the mine they had entered at the beginning. The purple gold ore exposed on the surface was scattered and very inconspicuous. Yun Sheng walked all the way to the bottom of the mine and there was no more road ahead. Only then did she stop. Yun Sheng stood in front of a wall. She knocked on the wall with her hand and found that the wall was very hard. Perhaps because no one had passed by it for many years, A thick layer of moss grew on the wall. However, the color of the moss was fiery red. Yunsheng took out a scalpel and scraped off the layer of moss on the wall. The original color of the wall was revealed. The color seems to be different. Yunsheng found that the color of this wall was completely different from the purple gold or outside and the basalt on the ground. It was like a red copper ore. The mysterious person had also noticed this red ore before. They only determined that this red ore was an ordinary copper ore. There were many copper ores on the boundless land. Moreover, due to the application of magicians and various weapons that were not inferior to iron, copper ores were very cheap. Therefore, the appearance of this red copper ore wall was determined to be the end of this purple gold ore vein. However, Yunsheng did not think that this wall was a copper ore wall. This was because she used the scalpel in her hand to poke at the wall. She found that the blade of the scalpel, which was as hard as iron, was actually curled up. How could such a strong wall be made of copper ore? Yunsheng's heart skipped a beat. She placed her hand on the wall and softly chanted a fire spell. The scorching fire spell swarmed towards the wall. However, to her surprise, the wall still did not move an inch. There was not even a trace of heat. This is amazing. Yunsheng could not help but raise her eyebrows. She really wanted to know what was behind that wall. Deputy Commander, it's almost time. Lu Zi's voice came from the other end of the cave. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.